between Burnley and Newcastle. Newcastle just out in the tunnel, as I can see, being led out by Ben Mee. If you've been delayed, and we're starting the coverage at 8:25 on the Monday night we were due to hit the airwaves. Unfortunately, we had a bit of an incident in the tunnel around about 8:45. It was due to be the referee's assessor for this game was taken ill, collapsed and was taken ill, but we believe is in a conscious state and has been taken, I believe, to the Royal Blackburn Hospital. So hopefully any news we get on Eddie Wostenholme, we'll try and bring it to you live on the JB Claret YouTube channel. In the meantime, there's a game of football to be played. I'm not sure which it was actually agreed that the kickoff would be 8:30, so we've been keyed up for about 3/4 of an hour for this. But finally, we'll get the game underway in a second or two. They're just waiting for the word from the referee to come out onto the field. But we're just waiting for the referee to come out onto the field. Turf Moor is packed, as you would expect. I feel sorry for these people locally that have to travel all the way back to Barnoldswick or wherever they are this evening, because the last buses will not be... I think the last bus back up to where my neck of the woods is about 10:30, so it could be a late finish here, and there might be one or two people leaving early for the traffic, but let's not worry about that. The turf is packed and the teams are just about to trot out onto the field here. Well, we've had a half-hour delay. Let's just hope that the players aren't too affected by that. But finally, they are out under the tunnel, and I'll reiterate why the delay. Around about 20 minutes before the original kickoff, and of course, he is conscious, but he is receiving treatment as we speak now in hospital. And the two teams are now out under the tunnel. This is a big game for all sorts of different reasons. Both inside the bottom six in the Premier League. Burnley in Newcastle in 15th, Burnley in 16th, and with that win for Huddersfield against Wolves yesterday, it has really muddied the waters at the bottom end of the table. And my first job finally tonight was to bring you the two lineups in full, and Burnley are going to play 4-4-2, I'm told. The football club have told me, so let's in a second or two check the two lineups very, very quickly. So it's Joe Hart starting in goal, then it's a back four of Lowton, Long, me the captain, and Charlie Taylor. So Lowton's going to play right back and Taylor the left, and then Lennon is going to be a four-man midfield with Lennon on the right, Defoe and Cork in the two central midfield positions, as Sean Dyche and Ian Warren and Tony Lockwood all come out as one, and Robbie Brady on the left, and a front two of Sam Vokes and Chris Wood, two similar sort of strikers. I thought he might have gone with Sam Vokes up front I thought he might have played Barnes instead of Vokes up front, because Barnes and Wood do have a very good understanding up front, and I'm a bit surprised he hasn't tried to use Barnes tonight, so I'm a little bit taken aback by that news. On the bench for Burnley, Tom Heaton, the substitute goalkeeper Ashley Barnes, Jeff Henrick, Ashley Westwood, Ben Gibson, Phil Barsley and Mattia Vidra. Newcastle lineup as follows: Dubravka, the goalkeeper, is in goals, and then a back four of Yedlin at right back, Shaw and Fernandez the two centre halves, and Kieran Clark. And then we've got Richie on the right, Diarmi and Key the two central midfielders. They're playing 4-4-1-1 incidentally, and Kennedy on the left, as Joe Hart was just seen on the screen. He's only lost one in 17 previous meetings with Newcastle. Jose Perez will play in behind the main striker, that is Solomon Rondon. So Perez essentially is in the number 10 role. On the bench we've got Woodman the goalkeeper, Murphy, Shelby, Aiden, Manguello, Yosselu and Atsu. The referee tonight comes from Greater Manchester, and that is Anthony Taylor. And we're all set to go here at the turf. A marvellous occasion. Newcastle haven't won a league game at any level since 1982, and they won 3-0 at Turf Moor, and Kevin Keegan and Chris Waddle were in the Newcastle side that particular day, and they haven't won in the top flight here, Newcastle. You have to go, unless winning the top flight here, you have to go back to 1975, the last time they won here in the top division. We're all set to go then at the turf. Burnley in the claret and blue will attack the cricket field stand, half populated by the Newcastle fans and half populated by the Burnley, shall we say, ultras. Jack Cork will get us underway. Newcastle, of course, in their magpie black and white stripes, their famous stripes, and away we go then. Burnley getting us underway, and off we go up towards the middle, and it's a chance here for Defoe to get his first touch. Plays it back, and so just to remind you the teams: Hart in goal in case you've joined us late, Lawton, Long, me and Taylor. Then the midfield, Lennon on the right, Defoe, Cork centrally, and Brady on the left, and then Boxerwood up top. And of course the Brocker in goal for Newcastle, and across the back is Yedlin at right back, Sharman, and then there's the two central defenders, and Clark, Richie, Key, Diami and Kennedy. Perez playing the number 10, and Randon up front. Richie will play on the right hand side of midfield and Kennedy on the left. But it's Burnley in possession here with Stephen Defoe. Just strikes it out to Lawton on the right hand side, and then the ball back to Kevin Long, who actually had a good game, I felt, against Leicester City a couple of weeks ago. He did okay. I felt he did okay anyway. And the ball hooked out for a throw and taken quickly back to Lawton. Burnley really need to play with a high intensity tonight. It's going to be a fascinating duel as the cross comes in by Lawton, but it's too deep and it's out of play, and behind for the first goal kick of the contest to Newcastle United. And this really will be a tough test tonight. We were going to go originally with Lawton making his 100th league appearance for Burnley, but we're going to go delayed, but then at the last minute certain circumstances dictated we can go live, so we've gone live. Our fourth live match of the weekend, and this is the final one. Our three commentary matches previously have yielded a grand total of 14 goals. We had 4 at the London Stadium on Saturday in a game I covered. Then Chris had another 4 goals on Saturday night at Wembley. And yesterday we had that fantastic thriller at the Villa, where Birmingham were beaten 4-2 by Aston Villa. I'm very well, thank you, Adam. This is a big game. I'm actually a Burnley fan, but I will be impartial. I'll try and be impartial. I'm very well, thank you. I'm a bit nervous. Oh, and De Brocken almost had it charged down there by Chris Wood there. Newcastle just taking 1 or 2 risks at the start. The long ball forward. We've had 2.5 minutes, and now a chance here for Richie now to knock the ball in. He's gone up in there again, and Kennedy trying to turn. Burnley having to do a bit of defensive work at the start, and Bolks holds it up and tries to bring Brady into it, but the ball bounces loose, and a chance for a shot which deflects, and it's behind for a corner. It was Mo Diami who struck the shot, one of the 2 central midfielders in the Newcastle 11, and they yield the first corner of the game. Careless ball really from Brady. Well, a bit unfortunate there. He took a couple of deflections, and Ben Mee hit me on the side of his head. In fact, it was Kevin Long, sorry. And Burnley here with a little bit of defensive work to do here in this opening 3 and a bit minutes. We're going short. They've no John Joe Sherry. He's amongst the substitutes, so he has battled back into the 18 from injuries. Newcastle send that ball in once again. They're looking really good, strong at the start, and there's the shot deflected, and it's gone in. Oh my goodness me, what a tragic start for Burnley. It's 1-0, and it's Fernandez, I think. Just the start Burnley did not want, and I think the ball deflected in past Joe Hart. I think Burnley 0, Newcastle United 1. What a tragic start for Burnley. Didn't really deal with the ball properly. The ball bounced kindly for Newcastle, it has to be said. Fernandez then struck it with his right foot, and there was a deflection in there, and it must have come off the defender, because it took it away from Joe Hart, who may have got there by the deflection here. There's the shot, and it nicks off Ben Mee, I think, and into the back of the net. Hard to see there. There's the shot, and it's off Ben Mee and in. Oh, what a appalling start for Burnley. Fernandes will claim it. That will be certainly one for the dubious goals committee, but just the start Burnley did not want to happen. And we've had nearly 5 minutes gone. It's Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. 3 minutes 33 the goal timed at. And that's going to be no hands there. And Wood chips it in, or Crooks tries to chip it in towards Wood. And I just think Burnley again, just mix up again at the back. They just didn't get the ball away enough. Now Cork in the middle of the field. Now they have to come from behind. And this is the big worry for me at Burnley. When they do go behind in a lot of the league games, they don't seem to win too many of these. And this is not a good start at all. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. Live on the JB Claret YouTube channel. Live Monday night Clarets commentary. And it's 4. Cork needs to win this now. Burnley winning the ball well. They need to react very well. And Cork does well. Cuts inside. Defoe hits it with his right foot. And the ball deflects. Burnley want a corner. It's a Newcastle goal kick. But Burnley really making a really poor start to the game, really. Defensively got it wrong, but they reacted well. I'm not sure whether that was a corner or not. The angle we saw there from on the replay just didn't give us a clue whether that was off a Newcastle defender or off Stephen Defoe. But the referee erred on the side of Newcastle's side. And De Bruyne now, who's the Newcastle goalkeeper, hits it long, right-footed, up over the halfway line. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1 here at Turf Moor. And here's Lowton down the right-hand side for Burnley. To Lennon. Lennon keeping the ball well. Finds Lowton. And it really has been an arduous start really for Burnley, considering they're at home. And I have to say, the lineup, when I saw it come out, when I saw the team sheet come out, I thought, why, Dyche, why? It would have been a tailor-made sort of game for Ashley Barnes, that, and that is the problem. As Defoe now wins possession, finds Lennon, that gets a deflection. It's a Burnley throw-in. But it's a terrible start for Burnley, really is. That is not the start we want, the Clarets really wanted. But give Newcastle their fair dues. At least they've attacked right from the off, and they look like a side that have won their last two, in fairness to them, and you've got to give Newcastle their fair dues. Here's Ben Mee now for Burnley. Towards Brady this time. The ball hooked forward again. Vokes takes it on the chest. Taylor was running down the near side. And it's a throw into Burnley. Midway inside the Newcastle half. Newcastle lead Burnley here by a goal to 0. They have a throw in Burnley. 1 down they are. I must admit, I was prepping for the game when I found out we were going to be going live, and I was nervous for Burnley. I really didn't think this was going to be the sort of night they needed to make mistakes, and they didn't get the ball away. And Fernandes and Ben Mee, why deflect the shot? Joe Hart would have saved that, I think, but for the deflection. And Vokes is offside. And the Burnley fans are not happy. The Clarets fans are not happy. Let's have a look at the goal again. I mean, the ball's up back in there. Wood, not a good header away at all. It's not a good enough header. And then the shot comes in. Why does Ben Mee need to touch it? Hart's got it covered. Hart, for me, has got that one covered. It's deflected in. Why did Ben Mee have to have a dig at it? It's an horrendous start for Burnley. 1-0 to Newcastle. Oh, it's a infuriating start, that is for sure. Newcastle have come out. They've got the lead now. The away team, they can sit back on the lead, and Burnley could... Well, it is really, really appalling start. But here's Defoe now on the break. And again, gets the ball back into Lowton. Can Burnley get themselves back into it? Lowton's cross into the penalty area. It just will not break for Vokes inside that area. And I just wondered why Sam Vokes had to start tonight. He's not been in the best of form. Yes, he's got a couple of crucial goals against Cardiff earlier on in the season, but really from that he's not really shown much promise. As Chris Wood, I thought Oh, a chance inside, folks. He's fouled his man, I believe, and the free kick, and the Burnley fans are not happy again. And when the luck is going for you, it really does go for you. Newcastle do look a team now that have won their last two. There's no two ways about that. Sean Dyche has never in fact lost a game to Newcastle in 4 matches. 1-1, 3-3, and they got a 1-0 win in the corresponding fixture last year, and they drew 1-1 at St James's Park as Ben Mee hushes it back to Joe Hart. I did say in my Facebook Live that this was a must-winner for Burnley, and in fact this is the task is now made even difficult for them. The fact that Newcastle are joint fourth in the amount of goals conceded away. Only 5 goals conceded so far this season. So Burnley have got it all to do here, and Lennon having to get it back to Joe Hart. Newcastle do look up for this, I have to say. 10 minutes gone in the first half. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. A deflected goal for Fernandes. What was Ben Mee doing? Ben Mee will have to take the blame here. Absolutely disgraceful defending really from Ben Mee. Joe Hart had that covered for me, and Ben Mee just couldn't help himself but try and block it, and in the end it's gone off him and it's zoomed into the top corner of the net. Newcastle in the lead. Burnley really need to get a grip of this game, otherwise it could be a really frustrating night for all concerned. Ball forward towards Brady. Now Taylor wants it on the near side. He's got Brady on the left hand side, I should say. Wilkes was played the original ball. Now Cork swings it towards Lowton takes the ball down well under no great pressure. Defoe knocks the ball back. Long, oh, he sallied a little bit there, Kevin Long. They nearly need to get a grip of this in the opening stages. Here's the ball over on the far side. Taylor keeps the ball in play. Infield to Cork. Cork having to pirouette away from his man, and he does so fantastically well. Now then, can Burnley get something going? They need to be a bit more ruthless, I believe, in the final third. And there's space for Lowton on the right-hand side. There's 2 in the middle for a cross, and it's towards the back post. And folks, flips it over out the far post. Better from Burnley, but still, again, I think the final product is lacking. But it was lovely football. This is what we want to see from a Burnley team. Pass and move. Ball out to Lowton. Nice cross. Just needs more men in the box. And I think Burnley could be in for something here. But a little bit of a better response from Sean Dyche's Clarets. 1-0 they trail. A deflected goal for Fernandes. 1 goal in 12 appearances. That was against West Ham, of course, 2 weeks ago. Or 3 weeks ago, rather. In that 4-2 reverse at the London Stadium. 12 minutes gone already. Remember, the game was postponed. It was postponed until 8:30 due to an incident involving Eddie Wostenholm, the referee's assessor, when he collapsed in the tunnel area and was taken to hospital. I'm sure if we get any news on Eddie's condition, we'll bring it to you live. Meanwhile, Newcastle have it with Richie now darting on the left hand side. I thought he might go on the right hand side tonight, Richie. There's the shot coming in, and Newcastle really, I've got Burnley right where they want them at the moment. But here's Cork now. Burnley really need to get their foot on the ball and get playing. And again, Cork, the frustration with Cork is he always tries to do too many complicated things, and he ends up slipping over and flat on his face. He needs to keep his feet more. I don't think he's the most balanced footballer in the world, Jack Cork, and that's the problem, I think. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. Coming up to 14 minutes almost gone. And here come Newcastle with Clark. Big 6-footer. They put him in there to combat the threat of Vokes and Wood. Last 10 minutes possession. 71% Burnley, 29% Newcastle. Burnley having the better of it. But it's Newcastle's goal that separates the two sides here. Remember, Newcastle have not won in the top flight at Turf Moor since 1975. You have to go a long way back for that. A year that Bohemian Rhapsody got to number 1 with Queen. Red Rona finished second in the Grand National to Rag Trade. And West Ham beat Fulham 2-0 in the FA Cup final. That's how long it's been for them for a win in the top flight at Turf Moor, although they did win in 1982 in the old second division by 3-0 with Kevin Keegan and Chris Waddle and all. Here's Wilton now for Burnley. Ball up forward, that looked a foul there, and I'm sure the referee's got to play it back. There was no advantage to be had there. So come up towards a quarter of an hour gone. It has been a difficult start for the Clarets, no doubt about that. 44 years ago. As we see it again on the rerun. Court was taken out rather viciously there. It was a cynical challenge there by the Army. Surprised he's not been in the book there of Anthony Taylor, but you know, he's made the most tackles this season. Drissa Garnegay second, Wilfred Ndidi Leicester third. They made 103 and 91 respectively. Mel Army has made a whopping 110 tackles already this season. 1-0. And apologies there, I'm getting messages every time I commentate on things. People always seem to want to message me, but I am very busy for 90 minutes this afternoon, or this evening rather. 15 minutes gone at Turf Ball. I'll message back at half time while we take our 15-minute break. At the moment it's Burnley 0, Newcastle United 1. Very disappointing start for the Clarets really, when all said and done, in a must-win game. And Sean Dyche really before the game said this will not define our season. Well, you look at the next few fixtures for Burnley, and I have to say this very objectively, you've got the likes of Liverpool, Spurs, Everton and Arsenal to come in that December period. Crystal Palace away on Saturday, and I think that's a game that you can actually now hear on the JB Claret YouTube channel. We'll be bringing you that live, and then we'll be bringing you one of the many Sunday matches we have for the Premier League. It may well be the Merseyside derby or the North London derby. We haven't decided what game we're bringing to you on Sunday, but we know, and we will be back next Saturday as well with the Saturday match, and Chris Whiteman will be the fox in the box for that one. Here's Sam Vokes now turning nicely. The ball will break for Stephen Defoe, and Defoe does well, finds Cork. Now Brady, back to Cork. Taylor is hugging that left hand touchline. Infield to Cork, to Brady once again. Here's Taylor now, left hand side. Cork, good triangle passes, but they're not going anywhere. They're not going direct towards the Newcastle goal, which is where Burnley need to have it. And they've lost possession here, and this is not good news here. As Yedlin has possession on the far side for Newcastle. 1-0, and at the moment it doesn't look very good for Burnley. Back with you live now. I apologise there, the sound just broke down a couple of seconds, but we're back live with you now. But nothing's happened whilst we were away for a second or two. Still Burnley 0, Newcastle 1, and we've hit the 19th minute mark of the first half. Burnley in big trouble here. 4th from bottom at the start of play. 1 point ahead of the bottom 3, which is where they'll stay even if they lose tonight. But it's not a great start for Burnley, and if we do lose, I will be staying on just after the final whistle to my absolute opinions on on the performance. And here come Newcastle again into the penalty area. There was a Newcastle player going down, but Lawton got back. It was Jose Perez on the far side that was trying to run down there. And he almost ran down a blind alley with two Burnley players, but it was perilously close to the penalty area. There was a Burnley player gone down there. Referees waved it on. Here's Lennon now in the centre circle. Back to Cork. Cork now. Infielder Brady. Lennon stretching, and he gets the ball somehow to Lawton on the right hand side. Newcastle leading 1-0, but Burnley having all the play but not producing anything significant with it. And therein lies the problem for Burnley. And they've only scored 12 goals this season, and 5 alarmingly have come from set pieces. It is a real worry. Yeah, and the flick on towards Wood, and that's the problem when you've got two similar big strikers on. I think Orans would have been a much more perfect solution or Bidra than Sam Vokes. The two up top. He got the formation right, but he got the player, the selection wrong at the moment, Dash, at the moment. But you never know, he's got a chance to prove me wrong. Here's Chris Wood, 35 yards for goal. Oh, he's hit it straight into Bracker, who flapped at it. And unfortunately for Newcastle, there was no Burnley player within a 15-yard radius of the keeper, and there were Newcastle players. There were more Newcastle players to deal with that fumble than there were Burnley players. But Newcastle getting away with a good strike from Chris Wood from about 25 yards with his right foot. Cork now has to play it back to Long. Ben Mee, who in my opinion is at fault for the first goal. Why did he have to deflect a shot that was going to be easily covered by Joe Hart? I will never know to this day. Come to the point of the first half, and Key now plays it towards Jose Perez. Perez turns away. Good football this from Newcastle, and the ball comes towards Rondon, edge of the area. Ball out to the far side. It's Kennedy now. Kennedy back to Rondon on the edge of the area. Rondon shoots right foot, hits Taylor, and it's a Newcastle corner, and problems afoot for Burnley. In a game they really do have to win. As we see again, the shot from Wood, right foot, straight down the keeper's throat, and he had a lot of time to Brooker to size that up and catch that. There was no real venom on the shot, and the goalkeeper, for some reason, seemed to just fumble it. He kind of misjudged an easy cross like that. I mean, even my auntie could have caught that. Anyway, never mind. It's 1-0 to Newcastle. They have a corner here. Want to go clear. 3 or 4 black and white shirts in there, and it's headed behind by Brady for another corner. Didn't clear the first man. It wasn't a particularly good corner, but Newcastle get the second corner on the bounce, and this is where Burnley, I do worry about Burnley here, because they concede so many corners in quick succession. Ritchie will try again. He goes short to Key, the former Swansea man. Back to Ritchie once again. Good cross in there from the far side. A little flick, and it's gone in. It's 2. Newcastle in complete control. And it's Kieran Clark who's got the second one. And we're not halfway through the first half yet. 2-0 to Newcastle. Really, really poor defending again from the Clarets. He was not picked up by Ben Mee. That's stupid defending from Ben Mee. Really poor defending from everybody. Joe Hart, no chance. Ben Mee, again, has to be blamed. It's 2-0 to Newcastle. And they've taken their chances, and Burnley have not even come close. It's all well and good having 70% possession. It's what you do with that possession. And Newcastle, with their meagre possession, have done much more than Burnley have. And I can't stress that enough. Fair credit to Newcastle. They've come out and scored 2 goals, and they deserve them. Burnley have been nowhere. You can have all the possession in the world if you want, but if you don't take your chances, you don't invariably score. And I can't see us winning this game now at 2-0 down. But credit to Newcastle. And you've got to give Rafa some credit for that. Burnley now have to start playing. They have to start playing with intensity, because they look a team completely out of sorts at home. Very negative, the way they've been set up. And here they go again. This is Perez now on the break. They're just absolutely swarming all over. This is Perez now with the cross towards the back post. Looking for Kennedy, but it's out of play for a throw-in, thankfully for Burnley. And Sean Dyche, he's a man under pressure now. I've been a very, very staunch supporter of him for the last 4 or 5 years, the success and the stuff he's achieved at the club, but now he's surely going to be a man under pressure now. And there'll be a lot of Burnley fans on the boards tonight, on the forums and the football phone-ins, actually probably calling for the manager's head. And I never thought the day would come I'd have to say that about Sean Dyche, because of all he's achieved at Burnley Football Club. But there's going to come a point where it was all going to fall apart, and at the moment it's all falling apart for Burnley here. They're 2-0 down on the Clarets Game live. Here's Loughton now. They need to get back into this game. The next goal is going to be also crucial. Loughton bombing down the right, and that's not a bad cross, but it's too close to the Bratka, and that's the frustration. It's not a bad cross, but it's not accurate enough. Burnley in big trouble. And I've got to give Newcastle all the credit in the world. I mean, it wasn't long ago when Burnley were winning games with 25% possession. So sometimes we have to take a taste of our own medicine. And with all fairness to Newcastle, they come here, they're the away team, they're under the least amount of pressure. They're not expected to attack and show first like Burnley were expected to. And to be fair to them, they've absolutely, in my opinion, if this was a boxing match, they'd be absolutely thrashing Burnley on points, never mind the possession. Burnley 0, Newcastle 2. Nearly 26 minutes gone here at Turf Moor. This was not... I had a bad feeling about tonight, and it has been proven. And Newcastle are now joint second in the most headed goals. 6 headed goals out of 11 this season. Everton, they're joint second with Everton. Tottenham, the leaders with 8 goals. And they're lying in third place. Everton just in around the top 6 or 7 at the moment in the league. And well, we'll try and get some reaction as well after the match from Sean Dyche as well. But I don't think Rafa will be absolutely delighted. I know he's not happy with a little passage of play there, but I'm afraid he'll be the more happier manager. There's no doubt about that. 2 goals help. I don't think he envisaged Burnley going to Burnley here tonight and scoring 2 goals. I mean, it's just one of those unfortunate things at the moment. Here's Loughton as he cuts inside. Now, can Burnley raise their game now? The only saving grace, really, it's only 27 minutes in. So there's plenty of time left for Burnley to try and get back into this. But at the moment, you don't know when the next chance is going to come from, let alone the next point here. And this is the problem. I think Dyche has been found out tactically now. It's taken teams a couple of years to work Burnley out, and that's the big problem now. And you know, we can't use the European stuff now as an excuse. It's you know, he's got to stop excusing and start being honest with everybody. That looked a foul there, but the referee waves it away. So no foul there on Chris Wood. And there's got to be some questions asked about his selection process. It's the Army, keeps possession for Newcastle, and he finds Kieran Clark, who got the second goal, and here's Fernandez. So a deflected goal from one of the 2 centre-backs, Fernandez. He got the first, Clark, the right-back, the second, with a good header. But again, Ben Mee, culpable, in my opinion, for both goals, and Joe Hart, absolutely exempt, in my opinion, for any criticism at all. It's just been a horror show from Burnley defensively in this first half. Kevin Long has probably been the better of the 2 centre-backs from what I've seen in the first 28.5 minutes, but it's been poor defending by everybody from all concerned for Burnley. And this is the problem when you force a succession of corners. Offside there against Kennedy, free kick to Burnley, which is taken quickly, and now Taylor gets himself away. Now Brady, and a good tackle there by number 5 Shah. Yields a throw in for Burnley. Now they need to make something from these plays. Burnley, when they get the ball, they can't be wasteful, certainly in the final third. They need to come up with new dynamic ways, and I would, if I was Sean Dyche, if they can get one back before half time, they've got every chance. But I still think he needs to make a half-time sub. I would get Barnes on for Volks, quite frankly. because him and Wood are colossus between them up front, and I think they could cause Newcastle more problems. There is the problem is, and also I think they've missed Johan Berg Gudmundsson on the right hand side tonight, because he's been their best outlet. But we can't use injuries as an excuse here for what's gone on tonight. The players have just not shown enough heart, enough fight, enough anything really to warrant undeserving of being 2-0 down, because they deserve to be 2-0 down. That's the harsh truth. And well, I'd like to hear if we go on to lose the game. Well, I hope we don't. I hope we come back into it and try and force the issue. But here come Newcastle again, ball forward, and the Army wins that next header. Now Key, the Korean, he's always done well here at Turf Moor when he come with Swansea, apart from last season when they were beaten by 2 goals. Kevin said he was hoping for a draw. Looking good so far. Well, for Newcastle they are. Burnley have been absolutely disgraceful, and here come Newcastle again. Kennedy on the far side from the left-hand cross, and the ball in towards Rondon, and Burnley again at 6s and 7s at the back, and they get away with it this time. Really is. Their showing in defence has been completely and utterly poor, and you've got to say Newcastle could and maybe should have been out of sight before the half hour was up. 2-0 Newcastle lead, and you've got to say they took their chances ever so well. Burnley have just been appalling from the word go here. Yes, they've had the possession. Yes, they've tried to take the thing. For 3 attempts Burnley, 5 for Newcastle. Just 1 on target. And in fact, that goal, I think the one that deflected off Ben Mee was not going on target at all. So why did Ben Mee feel the need to go for that when the ball when Joe Hart certainly had it covered? Ben Mee, an utter liability so far tonight, and I do think he needs to be stripped to the captaincy for me. That's my opinion. When Tom Heaton isn't playing, give it to somebody who cares more. Somebody like Stephen Defoe, somebody like Robbie Brady, that doesn't let an experienced hand. Ben Mee is not good enough to be a captain of this football club. No way, in my opinion, should Ben Mee be captain of Burnley Football Club. He should be stripped of the captaincy. And I think Sean Dyche would do well to actually strip him of it tomorrow, quite honestly, because he's not a natural leader. He's not good enough when he's the captain. He's good when he's a player, but he's not good enough as a captain, and he should be stripped of the captaincy. End of story. But at the moment it's Burnley on the break. Now Ben Mee, the aforementioned Ben Mee, who's been my villain in the match so far, I have to say. And of course there's the JB man in the match as well, as we do for every of our live games. We'll bring you news around about the 60-minute mark of the second half, and you can vote using the hashtag JBMOTM. But that's all to come in the second half of tonight's match at Turf Moor. Couple of big championship games. Of course, it's Champions League week as well. There's a big one on Wednesday between PSG and Liverpool. Of course, we'll be back live on Saturday, hopefully with a game at Burnley. Well, they can't afford to lose then, because it'll be another 6-pointer. We're not winning the 6-pointers. These are the games that would define our season. Sean Dyche, I don't know what he was trying to do. Has he been speaking to Alistair Campbell a lot? I don't know, but it's not been good enough by half this match tonight. And we're 10 minutes almost away from half time, and Burnley have just not shown enough cohesion, to be perfectly honest. Here's Kevin Long now to Matt Lowton, infield to Defoe. Somebody needs to lead, because at the moment the leader that should be leading, Ben Mee, is not showing his quality. He has been a liability so far as a defender first and foremost, and as captain. Here's Defoe now on the right hand side, has to go infield to Cork. He uses him. Good football, this better from the Clarets. Ben Mee canters forward. Boy, he needs to start making a turning for himself. The ball into the penalty area again. Newcastle, so easy for them to defend the set plays. And here's Brady now. Can we get it onto that left foot? And he's taking on Kennedy. Can he get that wonderful left foot in there? That's better. But again, the strikers are not wanting or willing to show enough for the ball, and that's the problem when you got two big strikers up front. It's just not showing for them. Brady again will hopefully try and get it on the right foot, left foot rather, and again it's back in towards Taylor, and again Burnley having to retreat back with the ball. This is not good. Newcastle have brought every man forward back, which is what they're entitled to do. That surely must have been a foul there on Jack Cork, but the referee's played on. And here's Perez now for Newcastle. He trots over the halfway line, plays Matt Ritchie in, who's having a good run in the side. Ritchie with the crossing towards the penalty area. Again Burnley this time sees in the danger, but he's not had a good first half in my book. Here's Key now picking it up on the left hand side for Newcastle. He has to go back to Martin de Broca. Apart from that one moment of hesitancy when he dropped the ball, but there was nobody, and Burnley, tragically there was nobody in Claret and Blue to pick up on the loose ball. He hasn't had much to do, and that is a very, very big concern at the moment. And inside, I'm fuming, and Richards bought himself space here on the right, on the Burnley right hand side, and on the Newcastle left, and he's yielded the corner with 10 minutes to go to half time. And Burnley again, where was Lowton in all of this? Where were Burnley as a back four? They're just all at sea. All at sea. It is disgraceful. Heads need to roll at half time because this cannot keep happening. Fourth corner for Newcastle. Burnley have had nothing, and at the moment the way they've played, they deserve nothing. Key with the corner to be taken on the left hand side. They've gone short again, and Burnley again slow to react in the shot from all of 25 yards with the left foot of Kennedy. Well, if it had been more accurate, Joe Hart may have had another important save potentially to make. They're just not. They just look so lethargic, Burnley. They just don't seem up for the game. They don't seem to want to put the fight and the effort in. They're going down quicker than the Titanic at the moment, the way they're playing. It's like they're every rat off the sinking ship at the moment. It really has been a poor performance. Defoe now lifting the ball in there towards Vokes. Now a chance now. Chris Ward in the area, but a foul has been given. I thought Vokes had won the ball well there. I'd like to see that one again. Well, Lee Mason and Rafa Benitez in conversation. Wood is furious because he felt he was in for a chance here, but let's have a look. Defoe playing the ball in. This is Sam Vokes winning the header. Well, he wins it well enough. I know it's an accidental barge, and I don't think it was an elbow because he was looking clearly at the ball. I think that's a poor decision from Anthony Taylor. Fair enough, the man got injured, but I don't think it was an unfair challenge on Scarf for me. That's a poor decision from Anthony Taylor. And Newcastle again trying to play stupid football, trying to play out from the back. They don't need to do that. 2-0 down, just keep it, just try and frustrate the Clarets. That's the thing. And now Joe Hart has to kick it away. No nonsense. He's absolutely blameless on the 2 goals. He had no chance. It wasn't helped by some shocking defending on both goals by Ben Mee. Firstly, the failure to pick. Firstly, why did he feel the need to deflect a shot that was going off target and into the crowd for the first goal? And secondly, where was he when he was supposed to be marking Kieran Clark? He went AWOL, quite frankly, and in my opinion, I hold him 100% responsible for why Burnley are in this position. They are 2-0 down to a Newcastle side who, let's be fair, in front of goal, despite the poor defending from Burnley, as I've just seen Stephen Defoe capturing there, his 50th Premier League game tonight. As I've seen, as you know, it's ridiculous. Kennedy wants to throw for Newcastle. It's a Burnley ball, but I don't think Newcastle need to get too het up about that. The 2-0 go up, and I don't think they would have expected it, quite honestly, at the start. But I was expecting a tough match tonight. Newcastle are no mugs, and Rafa, after a slow start, has got them playing. I've seen a couple of their matches recently, and we saw them at the start of the season against Spurs, and I felt they were a bit unfortunate not to win the game. And of course, Chris covered them at Old Trafford when they went 2 up there, and they should have won. They should have won that game as well. They lost 3-2 in the end. So it was urgent Manchester United, and Burnley are going to have to pull something another miracle, another Manchester United style comeback in the second half, because like at Old Trafford with United, they've been second voyagers against this Newcastle side who don't like conceding anything. Oh, as I say, that Vokes has scored by the penalty spot. Wow. Talk about the commentator's curse. Or the commentator's luck maybe for Burnley. Sam Vokes with a header from a left-hand cross from the left-hand side. And in fact, it was Ben Mee. Well, actually, well done, Ben Mee. Atones for his mistake, but a lovely cross towards the edge of the area from something like 20 yards out. Loosed the ball, folks, over the Brocker's head. And all of a sudden, with 5 minutes to go, maybe Burnley are not finished yet. What a good header that is. And question marks surely will have to be rained at the Newcastle keeper, because he was probably a bit too far off his line, perhaps. Well, he was definitely caught out, and a good leaping header from Vokes. Now Burnley might just be the game changer and the break that Burnley needed. Now they must not concede from this next attack. If they can get 2-1 down, they still have a chance. The ball into the area. That's decent defending from Kevin Long. He did okay, but it's Richie Doe on the left-hand side for Newcastle. And Hart, thankfully, lets it go into his hands, and no corner conceded. But Sam Vokes back in it. Third goal of the season. Well, he's probably shut me up a little bit, because I was a little bit annoyed that he was starting tonight, because I felt it was a night possibly tailor-made for Ashley Barnes. But Vokes is certainly silenced certain critics and a certain commentator. Here he is now on the ball. Leads it on to Lennon. In the centre circle. Burnley now will suddenly have got some belief in their game again. I said it was crucial. They needed the next goal. But they've plugged away and plugged away. No foul. Play on, says the referee. And it's Ben Mee now, who's half atoned for you, if you like, for those two mistakes. An assist for him. Now then, Taylor. He has to run at Kennedy here, but Kennedy's going to win the ball back, unfortunately, for Burnley. But Burnley are back in the game. That's important. Key now to Jose Perez, middle of the park, inside the centre circle, just in halfway. We've got just over 3 minutes for what's been a decent first half, if you were watching from a neutral's point of view, to go. And it's Richie now to Key, midway inside the Burnley half. Plays it out towards the left-hand side. This is good football from Newcastle. Burnley back to ultra defensive again, and a shot coming in from all of 35 yards out, right-footed, over the top into the Jimmy McElroy stand for a goal kick. But Ben Mee half atoning here, and there was no doubt he was onside as well, just so we know. And he got it up there, and from something like 20 yards, from 18 yards out, he's managed to loop this in. It's to the right of the D, and he's looped it into the left corner of the net past Martin de Broca, who will probably get the bird from his manager, because he was way too far off his goal line. And that has to go down, although it's a great header from Vokes, don't get me wrong. But the goalkeeper there, you have to fault him. But Burnley, thankful, some good news for Burnley, and some welcome news, because they're back in the game. A game they truly nearly need to win. They were 2-0 down, remember, after 20 minutes. Here's the 4. They've managed to get themselves back into it, but there's still a little bit of time for them to get themselves an equaliser. If they can get an equaliser now, well, we're looking at a different ball game. Well, that certainly changes things from the Team Talks point of view. Oh, Lowton's lost it. Lowton has lost it to Jose Perez. Now, this could be trouble here for Burnley. No foul on Perez. Burnley win the ball back, though, thankfully. And Robbie Brady to the rescue. There's a 1-2 with Taylor, who chips the ball forward. Now gets it forward towards Chris Wood. Wood holds it up. He has to hold it up. And he brings Jack Cork into the game. Cork now finds Lennon. Little touch around the corner to Lennon. He's gone over halfway. He's hugging that right touchline. Plays it in towards Lennon, who's offering support on the right. Burnley get the throw. Deflected off Matt Ritchie. So a throw to Burnley. In towards Vokes, the scorer. Can't find Lennon now on the right hand side. Lowton tries to tackle the arm. He can't succeed in doing so. And the ball being played now on the near side. Now Ben Mee feeling a lot better about things now. Then he's got an assist for Vokes' goal. Cork now has it to Taylor. We're inside the last minute of normal time here. When the half-time whistle goes, we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll reconvene for full second half commentary and reaction up until around about 10:45 here on the JB Claret YouTube channel. We'll try and get much reaction as we can, because this has been an eventful Clarets Game live. This really will be edge of your seats time in the second half. Here's Cork now to Lowton. Lowton infield again to Defoe. Defoe having a lot of joy in that midfield area, and he plays a lovely looping ball in, and one hits it on a volley. That's a great save by Dubravka. Best we've seen from Burnley, and Chris Wood hit that true on his left foot, and it was a marvellous save. You've got to say, from Martin Dubravka here. Smashing shot. We've got 2 added minutes incidentally, and Burnley now win their first quarter of the match. What a good save that was from Dubravka. So Burnley here looking to strike back straight away. We're into 30 seconds of the first minute of 2. Robbie Brady with the corner. We know how good his deliveries are with his left peg. Into the air it goes towards Ben Mee, headed away by Newcastle and flicked away by Newcastle. Kennedy completing the clearance. Now here goes Lyman Lennon down the right hand side, ambling forward. He's got 3 in the middle, and one of them is Chris Wood. If he can get there, he can. Vokes is there, chests it down. Chance here for Wood inside the area. Wood tries to shoot, and I think it deflected. It must be another corner to Burnley, and we've got a minute of the 2 remaining, and Burnley all of a sudden with their tails up gets a little nick. Dubravka wasn't sure, he had to dive. Brady to take another corner, and all of a sudden the whole Burnley and the 3 ends of turf ball, 3.5 ends of turf ball are now up and around him. Dramatic end to the first half. Brady with the corner, left footed, in swing into the area. Dubravka with a fist away. Not really cleared properly by Newcastle, but there's no Burnley defender no Burnley attacking nearby. But here's Ben Mee still forward. Can he put another decent cross in? He's tried to flick one in there. And Newcastle here having to defend for their lives here with less than 30 seconds of the 2 minutes at the end of the first half to play. Here's Defoe now for the Clarets, right hand side, plays it in towards Lennon. Lennon trying to shake off Clark, but Clark gets back, and it's a good tackle by Kieran Clark. Meanwhile, Perez is clutching his face. I don't know why. I'm hoping. Well, I think he's play acting now, Jose Perez. That's disgraceful if that's the case. And Matt Lowton is telling him exactly what he thinks. And Perez looking for retribution. But there's no doubt in my mind he's play acted. There's no doubt in my mind he's play acted, Jose Perez. That's disgraceful from him. Disgraceful. Perez had no right to do that. Let's have a look at it again on replay. He twists and turns. And Defoe's there. Well, for me, there's nothing wrong with that. I've not seen a replay. And Jose Perez has tried to con the referee. He's tried to blatantly cheat, and I don't like that. I don't like that from footballers. Jose Perez, hang your head in shame. Throwing taken by Lowton, and in towards Cork and Long, and there goes the half-time whistle. So at least Burnley are on the scoreboard and are back in a game which they were really up against it. They were 2 down in no time at all. It has been confirmed by the dubious goals committee and Russ Vernon that the first goal was a Ben Mee own goal. Why did he feel the need to try and block it? I will never know to this day. And then the second goal, he went walkabouts for the second goal, popped in by Kieran Clark. But in all fairness, back came Burnley, across him from Ben Mee, who was half atoned, if you like, for his earlier mistakes. A lovely ball in from the far side, and in came Sam Blokes from 18 yards out to loop the header into the left corner past Dubravka. And then right at the end, Chris Wood smashed a great shot from about 12 yards with his right foot. He hit it venomously, and Martin Dubravka flipped it over the crossbar terrifically well. And then there was a bit of play acting from Jose Perez, which I find absolutely disgusting. But at half time here, we're going to take 10 minutes, guys. We need to calm down after all that. We need a break. It's Burnley 1, Newcastle 2, and Burnley really need to hit the ground running and start the second half as they ended the first. Half time here, it's going Newcastle's way at the moment. Not a good night at all for the Clarets, but there's still some encouragement. But at the moment, it's Burnley 1, Newcastle 2. See you in 10 minutes. Welcome back to a very cold Turf Moor. Burnley really did rally in the last 5 minutes, but they didn't play well at all the first 40. And Ben Mee, I'm sorry, I have to be honest with you. I have to be totally and utterly brutally honest with him. He's the reason why Burnley are losing tonight 2-1 against Newcastle. Own goal, no need to be there. Joe Hart would have had that covered. It was going over, and then he was just brainless. And then the second goal left Kieran Clark unmarked, cardinal sin for a defender. You don't do that. Yes, he got an assist with a goal back, but for some blokes, but it's still not a good enough first half. And in my opinion, whatever happens tonight, he should be stripped. He should be telling Sean that, and I think people should be telling Sean that to really strip him of the captaincy. And if Burnley were to lose tonight, you've got to ask questions about Sean Dyche. Is he the right man at the moment to leave Burnley? Forget about what he's achieved in the past. What he's done has been unbelievable, and nobody can take that away from him. But is he the right man to lead Burnley in the long term at the moment? Because tactically he's looked suspect. It's been predictable. It's been too obvious. The teams are now trotting out for the second half at Turf Moor. Burnley 1, Newcastle 2. On goal from Ben Mee and Kieran Clark with the Newcastle goals, folks, with the response 5 minutes from half time for Burnley. So it's going to be Newcastle to get us underway. We haven't got any changes to bring you at all, so the second half will begin with the same 22 players. As the Army gets us underway in the second half, we'll recap the two lineups in just a second or two, but it's all about the next 45 for Burnley. They must score 2 goals without reply. They need to win. A draw may not be good enough. So let's have a look at Burnley line up. Harding goal, then it's Lowton, Long, Mee and Taylor across the back, and then it's 4 in the midfield, Lennon, Defoe, Cork and Brady, Vokes the scorer, and Chris Wood up front. Newcastle, who have possession in the halfway line but dispossessed, they have De Brocker in goal, then it's Yedlin, Shaw, Fernandez, Clark and Richards. So they've gone 5 at the back now tonight, with Kennedy, Key, Diarmi and Perez now. Perez will slot in at the left hand side with Solomon Rondon up top. So they're going to go 5 in the midfield now, as opposed to 4-4-1. So it looks as if they're going to do a lot of defending in the second half, Newcastle. So it's going to be, the onus is on Burnley now to try and get the next goal here, and Newcastle pretend to be playing on the break. Lawton has cut one in the face. And the referee's got some decision to do, and I think he's changing watch actually. He's done okay, although I think he should have booked Perez at the end of the first half for diving and trying to con him. I think Arosi Perez is a cheat, an out and out idiot, and I think a disgrace to the black and white shirt of Newcastle. In my opinion, you don't dive around like that. I don't like players who do that, quite honestly. It's just, we don't need it in the game. We've had about nearly 2 minutes in the second half. It's Burnley 1, Newcastle 2. Newcastle have a throw-in adjacent to the area as Richie knocks that in, but it's going to be an easy one surely for Charlie Taylor to knock away. We made a bit of he didn't make good work of it, but he was lucky to get it up towards halfway line where Kennedy picked the ball up. Don't forget, around about the 60-minute mark, I want you to choose your votes for man of the match, JB man of the match, and don't forget, I want the name of the player and the club he plays for, with the hashtag JBMOTM. But we'll start that around about the 60th minute mark here at Turf Moor, where Burnley trail by 2-1 at this moment in time, and looking to go for another one, but the shot from distance is saved by Joe Hart. All yellow goalkeeping strip. Burnley now attacking the Jimmy McElroy end in the second half to our left. Newcastle attacking the what used to be known as the David Fishwick stand. It's now called the Ladbroke stand for sponsorship reasons. Cricket Field stand to give it its very old title. It's been up around the same amount of time since Newcastle last won a major trophy, the Fairs Cup, back in '69. And that's where 2.5 Newcastle fans are situated behind Joe Hart's goal. I've got Ben Mee on the brain because he's been absolutely culpable for 2 goals. He's assisted in the Burnley response, but at the moment they're not winning this game. They're not even on parity, so at the moment he's not off the hook yet. And the ball back towards De Bruyne with his right foot comes away. Not a good clearance though by De Bruyne. Burnley, if they're going to win this game, they need to start playing with a bit of intensity. They need to put Newcastle on the back foot and really get stuck in there. And maybe Ashley Barnes coming on could help. But here's Solomon Rondon in the area. Ball back in there. And the ball back in there towards Rondon. Kennedy with the cross. And Rondon just couldn't get on the end of it. The Army now for Newcastle. And the Army trying to get round the back. And Kennedy got round the back there. And Taylor's in trouble. And it could be problems here. And Newcastle somehow have not forced it in. Matt Ritchie at the far post from about a yard out has somehow... Robert forced it wide. It's a goal kick to Burnley. Oh my goodness, Burnley have got off lucky there. Poor from Brady, poor from Taylor. Kennedy was in. Hart half saved it. And from the moment, this was just brainless defending this time from Burnley. Joe Hart did everything, and that little touch maybe would have been so important because Ritchie, if he hadn't a touch, would have had an easier tap in. Lowton was nowhere. Ritchie had the simplest task, and if that had gone in, I could have only seen Burnley dead and buried there. But we've survived. Mee gets the long ball forward. A real warning there for Burnley. But could it be also a game changer? Remember, Burnley were 2-0 down after 20 minutes. And it looked like an absolute avalanche that was going to be for Newcastle. But here goes Jack Court now trying to get it towards Wood. It's a poor ball from Court, really. Can't find Wood. And away come Newcastle with Key in the midfield. It's inside his own half. Plays it out to the right hand side. And Kennedy. And Yedlin as well as there as well on that near side. And the Army now plays it in towards Perez. And it's almost walking pace now for Newcastle. They like to keep hold of the ball. Kevin's been on. He says, I doubt any of the bottom 3 will win this weekend, so a draw here could be good enough to keep you out of the relegation zone. Well, not really, because we got you guys on Saturday at Crystal Palace. Again, you can hear on the YouTube channel. And then we got a tough match a week on Wednesday. I think it's against Liverpool. It might be Tuesday or Wednesday anyway. On the 5th of December against Liverpool, and we don't really want to be having to get more. We need at least 4 points from these next 2 games to take the pressure off the Liverpool game. But we definitely needed 3 tonight, and we have not delivering. Newcastle with Ritchie plays the ball into the area, but it's hooked away by Kevin Longer, who I have to say at the back 4 has actually played superbly. It's Ben Mee and the rest of them that have been absolutely abysmal right from the word go, especially Ben Mee. And people think I'm picking on him. I'm not. I'm judging him on how I see it. And at the moment, Ben Mee hasn't been good enough by half defensively. As Wood chases down that ball, but it's out of play. And it's a Newcastle throw-in. And it's not been a good thing at all. But this was it. And it was Yedlin, in fact, won the ball. And Hart got a touch. And I think that touch was crucial because Ritchie did have a tap-in. And should have taken that opportunity. It was there for him to bury it, and he hit the side netting. Burnley could and should have been 3-1 down. They've got away with it. But Ben Mee again giving the ball away stupidly there on halfway line, and in the end Newcastle got a free kick on the far side. But it was all down to the stupid defending again of Ben Mee dawdling on the ball when he should have hoofed it away. He tried to take one touch too many. Ben Mee is absolutely costing Burnley here tonight. There's no question in my mind. People will say I'm picking on him, but I'm not. And at the moment I'm not seeing anything that's been good enough about Ben Mee's defending, or his leadership skills for that matter, in his second half. And if Burnley do go on to lose, I will be ripping him to pieces in the post-match, the post-mortem after this game. But there's still time left, 52 minutes on the clock. Burnley only the 1 goal down. But they need another 2 goals, I feel, because even if we came back from the dead and drew 2-2, I would still see that as a point as 2 points lost. And a real chance gone begging against a relegation rival, and they've given it away again. Jack Cork guilty this time. It's just stupid. They're not doing the basics right, Burnley. Here's Key now picking the ball up into Perez. Perez turns, pirouettes. This is so easy for Newcastle that it must be their field there when they're getting loads of loose passes in their favour. Kennedy now to Yedlin, into to Kennedy. And the ball back again. And Newcastle here just again slowing the pace down to their own level. And Keno in the midfield. Burnley must try and pinch the ball somewhere, and it's just so easy for them as the shot comes in from about 20 yards, left footed, deflected for Burnley Newcastle throw. Kennedy's shot. On most occasions I would agree with you, Kevin, but with that Newcastle, with this Crystal Palace game looming large on Saturday, we needed 3 points tonight against a very, very tough Newcastle team. There's no doubt about it. Yedlin to take the throw. He played against England a week ago in that mockery of a friendly that involved Wayne Rooney's so-called retirement. It was a disgrace of a friendly match. I know England won 3-0, but Wayne Rooney should never have been there for that game. Should never have been allowed to actually wear the England shirt that night. 10 minutes of the first half almost gone. Burnley 1, Newcastle 2. On the Clarets Game live. No foul there by Brady. Brady, can he pick up the loose ball? You just couldn't. The Army just nicked it away from him, and there was only a split second in it. And now Perez has the ball for Newcastle. This really is going to be tough on them now in the second half as Richie bursts in there, plays it in towards Kennedy. 25 yards up, not close down. Kennedy shoots, left footed over the bar. And Newcastle have wasted 2 or 3 great opportunities, the Matt Ritchie one being the most gilt-edged of the lot. And it really does. It needs to hit home to Burnley. They need to hit home and start performing, because at the moment they are not performing. They're not showing enough inclination or the inspiration to want to do it. And Newcastle have had more possession, 33% to 67% in their favour. Burnley really need to start playing. Here's Lowton, Lennon out on the far side. Dash needs to start making some substitutes and quick, because it's just not working in the second half. Here's Ben Mee now, 10 yards in his own half. Peels to the left, has to go in field. I don't know what that ball was. Cork was going to be closed down by Rondon, who's a big butch bloke. And here's Lowton. And here is Ben Mee now. Mee on the ball. With the way Burnley are conceding, I wouldn't bet against Palace scoring a couple on Saturday the way we've conceded tonight. Here's Mee now, knocking the ball forward. A long ball up there towards Chris Ward. And again, Ward's second favourite every single time he's actually gone down there. He might have been illegally challenged, and the referee's surely got to stop it there. It's a head injury. It's a head injury, surely. Let's have a look at it again. Again, it's the wrong angle. Oh, he's elbowed him there, Clark. And I think he knew what he was doing there, Clark. I don't think he had eyes for the ball either. I think he's lucky to get away with a card there, Kieran Clark, and a free kick. Very lucky. Very lucky indeed. In case you're joining us late, Newcastle lead by 2-1. Goals, Ben Mee with the nets, and then on to 20 odd minutes, just over 20 minutes, the second goal again from a corner, headed in by Kieran Clark. And then just before the break, 5 minutes before the break, some folks with the goal back for Burnley. Matt Ritchie's just missed a glorious sitter, missed the best chance of the second half. You just wonder, will it come back to haunt Newcastle? At the moment they're defending really stoutly, to be fair, not giving Burnley a sniff at all, and that's a big worry. Sam Vokes, he's okay. In fact, it was Vokes who took the whack, not Chris Wood. But it's still 2-1 to Newcastle, and I think Dutch needs to look towards his bench. There doesn't seem to be any movement on that Burnley bench at all, and it's a real worry here. Free kick, is it? Yes, Anthony Taylor says it was, against the villain of the piece, Iosi Perez, who in my opinion is a complete scumbag. Kevin agrees with me, it was a deliberate elbow. I thought it was, and Burnley should have had a free kick. But they've got a free kick here on the right hand side of Rosie Perez. Lucky again not to have gone in the book. I'm not a keen fan of his. Brady and Defoe, the two-man committee. Will it be the right foot of Defoe or the left foot wand of Robbie Brady? Burnley need to put pressure on this Newcastle defence. They need to get an equaliser as soon as possible. The ball played in. It was not a great ball by Brady, and it's not often we say that about Robbie's free kick repertoire, because he's such a good dead ball specialist. Brady gets the ball back, however, on halfway. Now plays the ball back. Lennon takes possession. Still deep inside Burnley territory. Long now to Lowton. And Burnley still have possession in their own half. It's not going anywhere towards Newcastle's goal fast enough. They need to get a grip on this game, Burnley. They just don't seem to have the inclination or the inspiration to get forward enough. They keep going backwards. And you've got to give Benitez a bit of credit, because tactically Newcastle are sussing Burnley out here. Here's Ben Mee. There's still a lot to do to get out of my bad books at the moment. Here's Charlie Taylor now down the left hand side. Taylor running at his defender. Can he get the crossing? He's done really well though. He's forced to, is he a throw in or a corner? A little bit better from neither team yet to make a substitution. It looks as if it came off a defender and out for a corner kick, because Brady's coming across to take it. Left footed. Now, can he produce the one corner that could lead to an equaliser for Burnley? It needs to be a good one. Can Vokes and Wood get their heads on this? Wouldn't it be brilliant if Ben Mee could absolutely wipe out the memories of the first half with a goal himself? As the ball comes in towards the area, and again it just eludes everybody in claret and blue. Newcastle hook it out. Here's Defoe. It's nicely there, and Defoe sensibly finds Brady. Brady now with time to possibly cross the ball, and he does. He gets it into that danger zone, but again Newcastle had enough bodies back. And here's Rondon on the break, deep inside his own half. He finds Key now with Rondon ahead. Rondon has drifted out towards the far side, the left hand side of Newcastle. Still Riley now got sufficient numbers back. We played an hour. It's still 2-1 to Newcastle. It's not going Burnley's way here, and the pressure will be cranked up for that big game with Crystal Palace at Selhurst on Saturday afternoon. Here's Yedlin, or Shah rather. Shah plays the ball through. Little deflection on the ball. Might favour Kennedy, might favour Rondon, might favour Ritchie. They all go in, and the referee says no penalty. Newcastle, I think, wanted a penalty. They weren't going to get it, really. The ball was got. Here's Sam Vokes now for Burnley, and he's past his man. But he's not the paciest of men, Sam Vokes. We know that. And Vokes quite wisely brings Lennon into it. Wood lurks in an intent. So too does Brady. Court was there too, that the cross wasn't great. Lowton tries again. Hooked away. Off the referee this time. The attempted clearance by Kennedy. Now here's a chance now for Taylor, who's got the ball now on the near side. The Burnley left-hand side. Maybe that little ricochet of the referee might just play into Burnley's hands here. Kennedy gets back, does his defensive job really well. Does really well there, and even prevents a corner, to the Brazilians' credit. But Burnley now starting to come into the second half a bit more. Burnley, I do think they need to make changes. I still think, despite the goal back, that Vokes and Wood together still as a partnership just looks a bit cumbersome. Here's Taylor now. Taylor with a crossing from the left hand side. And the ball in towards the area, and again, good header back by Ritchie and into Dubravka's path. And once again, Newcastle survived that little onslaught from Burnley. Good game this at the turf if you're a neutral, but not if you're a certain commentator that likes a certain team. But Newcastle do avert their 2-goal advantage, 2-1 advantage. But Burnley get a free kick on the almost on halfway. Ben Mee to take it. He's gone short to Defoe. Defoe was in a lot of space there, and Defoe now needs to start stamping his authority like he did in the first half in that midfield area. It just needs to be that final footballing, and that's another. I mean, Burnley are just going down blind alleys. It really is that sort of a night, really. And in football, and I've seen a lot of Burnley on the Clarets Game and as a spectator this season, and it's just the same old, same old. They're just not using the ball wisely or competently enough, and not using their brains enough. Burnley 1, Newcastle 2. The pressure's on this this equalising goal. Newcastle are set up to play on the counter-attack. They've gone 5 at the back for the second half, remember, with Richie now slotting in at left back. Here's Taylor now with a crossing towards the penalty area, hooked away by Newcastle. It was hooked away by Shah, the defender for Newcastle. 3-2-1 Newcastle lead. Burnley trying to lay siege to the goal. Maybe they need to get Ashley Barnes on. Maybe go even three-pronged if they want. Vidra's there as well as an option. Just to remind you of the Burnley bench when we get a second. There's a free kick to Burnley. The Burnley bench quickly. Heaton the keeper. Ashley Barnes. Jeff Henrik. Ashley Westwood. Ben Gibson the defender. Phil Bardsley and Matthias Vidra. I doubt Bardsley will be used at all. It'll be a very disappointing day if it is to be that case. We'll bring in the Newcastle subs in a minute as the ball was flicked towards Sam Vokes. Can Perez keep that in? He's just about done it, to his credit, and I've not really said too much about him like that tonight. Kevin Long, absolute superb defending there by Kevin Long. Two big men up against each other, and Kevin Long there won the free kick. Brilliant defending there. Bought the free kick. Really well played, Kevin Long. And I have to say he's not put a foot wrong tonight. Right, first chance now to tell you that you can now vote. That the voting is open for the JB Man in the Match. Just select the player that you want to see win the Man in the Match, plus the hashtag JBMOTM, and put it in the comments below, and the man who gets the most votes will pick up our Man in the Match award, whether he's a Burnley player or whether he's a Newcastle player. Newcastle still hold the advantage in the game, 2-1 with nearly 65 minutes of the game gone. 2-1 they lead. Burnley 25 minutes away from defeat here, and probably a bit of a run from me. Here's Key on the far side, picks out Richie. Perez is just to his right if he chooses to use him. Still Richie. Cuts back inside. Key has it. Perez has it now. The Army's in the centre as well if he wants. Perez knocks the ball in. Long across. Did really well, Kevin Long. Read the danger. Was alert to the danger. He's been everything that Ben Mee hasn't, in terms of reading the game, defending well, doing the basics right, and Ben Mee's done either of those. And the ball up now towards Robbie Brady, and tried to work a miracle to hold it up there, and he couldn't. Jack Cork wins possession after, tell you what, Shah's challenge was a very poor one, and the referee allowed him to get off with it scot-free. And Newcastle now have a chance now of a third goal, and the ball over on the far side, and here goes Richie. Richie now gets his head up in towards Perez, who should have been booked for trying to con the referee. The ball in there towards Kennedy. Kennedy trying to turn. Here's Rondon, edge of the area. Chance here for Yedlin. Plenty of space for him to size up across in towards the penalty area. Good header one again. I think it was Kevin Long once again getting back there, reading the play remarkably well, but it's still the danger not over. Richie has it on the far side for Newcastle. Two waiting the penalty area in black and white stripes, and it's hooked away once again by Ben Mee. That's the first time I think I've seen him win a header and read the situation rather well in defence. 66.5 minutes gone. It's Burnley 1, Newcastle United 2 in the Premier League. Clarets match live on a Monday night. Ball in towards Chris Wood, edge of the Newcastle area. Brady has it, middle of the park, finds Taylor on the left hand side. Now can he whip his man and put a good cross in? It deflects, but it's going to stay in play, and Kennedy just rather half hooks it out. Now is that a throw in or a corner? I think they were wanting a corner, but it was going to be a throw in. Taylor shaking his head in absolute frustration, and he's wanting support here from this throw in. Gets it from Brady. Brady now, can he size up a good cross? He can, but again Fernandez got it away for Newcastle. And now here comes Lennon now. Can Burnley steal a second goal here? If they can steal one in the next 5 or 10 minutes, they've got still a chance to win the game, which they need to. Up towards Vokes, who won the first header well. Wood turn a turn. Good defending again from Fernandez. He needed to be. Still Vokes inside the area. Wood shooting until he's hit it straight into Brocker with his right foot. That was the chance Burnley was craving for. They got it. Wood had to swivel, turn, got his shot off right-footed, and either side of the Brocker, it would have been 2-2. But instead he went straight for the goalkeeper, and he should have gone far post. Big opportunity wasted for the Clarets. It remains 2-1 for Newcastle with 22 minutes plus stoppage time to play. Newcastle on course for 3 wins out of 3, and it will ease their worries. But this really was a pressure game, with Huddersfield really went muddy in the waters at the bottom of the table with their win yesterday at Wolverhampton. And Wolves, if they're not careful, they could end up in a relegation dogfight. They've had a bit of a bad run after a really encouraging start to their Premier League life. Well, that's not good in the Premier League at the moment for Burnley. Fernandes has had 70 touches of the ball. Kieran Clark's had 44. So 2 of the Newcastle players that have really caused troubles for Burnley. Richie as well has had 58. He's in third place, and it really is Shard's second as well. They've had a lot of touches, Newcastle players, and Burnley really just haven't been able to get a touch on the ball at all now. And we're now into the 69th minute. Newcastle prepared to make their first change, and it's going to be number 21, Joselu. And I don't know who he's going to replace, incidentally, and Ben Mee now has to read the situation. Now he needs to take his time, hooks it up forward. Burnley have to look at some substitutions. There just doesn't seem to be any movement on that Burnley bench, and that's good news for Newcastle, really, from their point of view. Burnley now, they should have made a change some 10 minutes ago. They do, however, have a free kick, which Norton's going to take, but I think they're going to allow the substitution to be made, and they are. So Newcastle will waste a little bit of time here. And Rondon is the man to come off. Joselu, I would have thought, will play up front. It's been a disappointing night for Burnley, whatever happens here, and there will be some massive questions asked of the manager here. It's not the night we were hoping for. We were hoping beyond all recognition that we'd have a cracking night with Burnley, but unfortunately it's not going that way as the 3 kicks in from the far side. The hook goal ahead, and it comes to Brady now. Brady knocking it back in there. A chance inside the area, chance for 2-2, and Wood can't finish it off to Brooker, hitting it again at the goalkeeper. And in fact, Yedling might have got a block in there as well. It's only a corner for Burnley when it could have been far, far more. Brady knocking the ball in. It was a good ball in. Wood, first touch was so heavy, it allowed DeAndre Yedling to get back at him and deny him. Corner now only to Burnley. Something must come of this, as Brady sends the corner into the mixer, and again beats everybody in Claren and Boy. Lawton trying the shot, hits a Burnley player, and it ricochets kindly for Diarmi for Newcastle. Back comes Charlie Taylor, who did absolutely superbly, did really well. Now Brady has it, and a free kick has been given to Burnley. And I don't think there was too much of an advantage there really for Burnley. I think the free kick was the wiser option, and it gives Burnley a chance to put men in the box. Newcastle all of a sudden are on the back foot here. Taylor did really well, and I think that was a free kick, and the referee, I think, was quite right not to play an advantage, because I don't think there was too much forthcoming. So a real chance here for Burnley, a golden opportunity if they can get the right ball in. Brady, how we could do it. Another good set piece from him. Brady sending in right footed. They all stay on side up towards the area again. Newcastle first to the first ball, and that's been the theme so far. But Burnley pumped the ball back in, and again they were first to the ball again, Newcastle, and that's been the difference really. Burnley have not defended first balls properly. Newcastle have, and that's why they're 2-1 up. Brady takes the throw in. Now here's the 4. How they could do with something spectacular now. 2-1. It's the 4 now on the break. Surely something's got to come from this. It's Kevin Long, and I'm getting so fidgety here in the commentary box. It's unbelievable. And here's the 4 on a cold autumn's night here at Turf Moor. Under the light, and here's Taylor now crossing from the far side, and again nobody in Claren and Boy was waiting. It drops to Brady on the edge, who shoots with his right foot. Defend wants a corner. Referee's given a goal kick. I'd like to see that one again. Did it deflect? And there's the ball played in, header away by Richie. Wasn't the best one, and in fact it was a goal kick. Brady thinks it should have been a corner. I don't think it was, and I am a very staunch Claret, and I would appeal everything, but well, the camera never lies. 2-1 to Newcastle, and Burnley still no substitutions. What is Dyche playing at? There should have been some substitutions on by now. It's getting ridiculously repetitive now. But here's Sam Vokes. Real opportunity now for Vokes. Can he dig it out? Can he find Wood? No, he can't. It's a poor ball again. It's another throw-in, but Burnley should be getting more for their enterprising play. And why is Dyche not making substitutions? There are going to be some choice words after the final whistle if we don't get a result here. It needs to be a win. A draw will not do for Burnley, in my opinion, considering the games that we've got coming up. And none of them really in December are that winnable. Spurs definitely not winnable. Liverpool definitely not winnable. Arsenal not winnable. Everton, you could argue, not winnable. Here's Joe Hart with a kick. Long kick. Up towards Vokes. Again, the ball will break for Newcastle. It's just not bouncing Burnley's way this season so far. No foul. The referee quite rightly playing on. There was no foul there. Into Wood. Now Cork. Brady out on the left. Can he be found? Brady with a first-time cross. It'll come to Lennon. Lennon knocks it back in towards Vokes. Oh, it's over the top from Chris Wood again. 4 chances he's had, and they're all gilt-edged ones. And surely now he has to come off, Chris Wood. Get Ashley Barnes or Matteo Vidra on, because Wood, again, is just not good enough. A seasoned striker should be burying those. Chris Wood is just simply isn't doing it. Absolutely appalling. And Sean Dyche, now is the time. You should have been making changes some 15 minutes ago. And there are going to be questions asked whatever happens tonight, because it's just not good enough from Burnley. Quarter of an hour left and Burnley yet to make a change. Why is Chris Wood not being substituted? I will never know. His finishing has been absolutely poor. Burnley could have had 4 goals if he had his shooting boots on. Here's Ben Mee, culpable as well. Those are the 2 men I find at fault here for Burnley's latest loss at the moment. It looks as if it's going to turn out to be. Here's Defoe. Burnley still have to hunt down Newcastle. They can't give up. It's just a shame it's taken them till 2-0 down after 20 minutes to actually start playing some stuff. Here's Wood with a header on. Never gonna find Vokes. It's just appalling. Chris Wood needs to come off the field. Get Barnes on. Get Barnes or Vidra on. We need something different, because at the moment it's so predictable, and Sean Dyche cannot even see it. He hasn't even bothered sending out substitutes, as far as I can make out, to warm up. That's how disappointing it has been. There's no sign of movement I can see from the far side of any Burnley substitutions whatsoever. They're all sat there with all their bibs on, and Dyche is just... it's just as if he wants to just blatantly ignore them, quite honestly. It just has been that sort of night, really. He knew it was a must-win game, Sean Dyche. And to say things like, this doesn't define our season, well, I'm afraid it does. And I'm going to read out messages, whatever the scoreline, and I'm going to hit home here on YouTube tonight. We will try and bring you the Sean Dyche interview at some point. But I'll tell you something. It's not good news for Burnley at the moment. It's 2-1 down, and Perez going in inside the penalty area, and he's won his team a corner. In fact, it was Joselu. 77 minutes gone. Newcastle have another corner. A third one for them would kill the game off. And you know what? If it does go in, fair play to them. Fair play to them. Because Burnley have just not been good enough. They needed to take their chances. Chris Wood needed to take his chance, and I think he should go off to New Zealand, quite honestly, because he's just not been good enough. And I don't mean that to be horrible. And well, it's a shame. It's an absolute disgrace when at least substitutes. So he's waiting until 30 minutes from the end for 2 substitutes to warm up. Why has he left it so late? Oh, there is going to be some ranting going on tonight, I'm sure. YouTube is not safe when the JB is on one. Well, I don't know whether that's a sly dig at me because I criticised him earlier, but it is counting as a vote because it did say the hashtag man in the match. So at the moment, as things stand, Jose Perez begrudgingly is the man in the match because I've not been impressed with him at all. I think he's been an out and out idiot all night, diving around trying to win 3 kicks for his team. Not the sort of professional I like to see play the game, but he's got the vote for man in the match. Lennon has now popped onto the left-hand channel, so Brady has gone to the right, and Lennon to the right, So they're trying to mix it up a bit, Burnley, but at the moment it just doesn't look as if they're going to have any cohesion. Sean Dyche should be telling his substitutes to get ready and get on straight away. Time is a very precious commodity, and Burnley just don't have that commodity. They are 2-1 down with less than 11 minutes to play plus stoppage time. They need to score twice. A draw for me would not be okay. It might not be the end of the world, but it's certainly not good enough. We need to win this game. Burnley need to win this game. I thought Rich actually would be the best player, but here they come again now. Newcastle attacking it. It's Joselu now through the centre. This to seal it. Newcastle. Oh, they should have they've hit the post. How they've not put the Clarets out of sight, I will never know. They've had chances to win this game. 3 or 4-1 Newcastle, and they've hit the post. Burnley have been saved by their right hand upright, but it's still not away yet. There's the cross into the penalty area, and the ball into the back post. Good block there by Kevin Long, and only he out of the back 4 can take any credit. Again, it was a great block to deny Perez. Now Wood. It really is desperado time now. Sean Dyche needs to be getting his substitutes on now. He should have done it at 60 minutes. He's now waited until 80 minutes to even get a substitute, and we've got some more diving here, and I'm absolutely appalled by it. But Newcastle should have been 3-1 up there. Really brainless defending again. Where is Ben Mee? Why is he so far forward? And then they just allow him forward, and Ben Mee again. I'll tell you what, he would have been at fault again. What is he doing? So far forward. He's leaving Kevin Long exposed on his own. And I tell you what, Ben Mee needs to get out of the club. He needs to be stripped to the captaincy, and he needs to be dropped. I think Ben Gibson's a better centre-back than him, and that's me not having a dig at him. This is me calling it as I see it. 3-1, it could have been to Newcastle. It still remains 2-1. Burnley, hooker by crook, surviving. But they need to score a couple of goals to win the game. They can't afford to draw. Draw's not good enough. They need to win. And they've given it away again. Just ridiculous play. Key now has it in the centre of the park. Burnley still yet to make substitutions. I see activity on the far side. At long last, it's only taken Sean Dyche at least 80 minutes to actually do something. Right now, the man in the match vote is the least of the worries, as far as Burnley viewpoint's concerned. I don't like to be rose tinted, and let's give Newcastle a bit of credit. They've done well, and you know this was always going to be a tough game for them. And if they come away with 3 points, then fair play and big respect to them. But at the moment, Burnley, like a team devoid of any real ideas, and only Kevin Long out the back 4 has actually put a real shift in tonight. And Ben Mee really does need to be dropped as the cross comes in from the far side. It's got away from Jose Perez, and well, I'm sorry. Why is Henrik on? Why is Henrik coming on? Ashley Barnes, yes. Now I'd like to know who he's replacing. This is going to be fun. We've waited nearly 82 minutes for a sub. Ashley Barnes, I can understand now. Oh, he's taken off the 4. He's taken off the 4. Why? Jack Cork should have gone. Jack Cork should have gone off. And Brady has gone off. Why is he taking off Brady? That's our best outlet gone now. Barnes is on. He's kept Folkes and Wood on. It should have been Wood off and Barnes on, for heaven's sake. We've waited 83 minutes, and the 2 substitutes, I'm afraid, are not very good enough ones, I'm afraid. Why he felt the need to take Defoe and Brady off, 2 of the better outlets for Burnley, I will never know in my lifetime. Here's Jeff Henrik now to Charlie Taylor, and the ball played in. Well, I don't blame him. I think it's Ben Mee for the second goal. Ben Mee takes the responsibility for me. I disagree with you, Russ. I think Ben Mee is at fault for the second goal. He should be picking up Clark a lot better. That's his job. Here's Jack Court playing it in there. There's free the penalty area now. Ball in towards the area, and the ball comes back. It comes to Taylor. Burnley have to keep the ball alive, but no Brady. That's an absolute... I find that ridiculous from Sean Dyche. I really do. Burnley, I've got... Well, at the moment they're running out of time to win it. It may well have to be a draw, and it's still not good enough for me. Absolutely, it's in an absolute... Oh my word! It's going to take a long while for me to come to terms with this. We're now at 10:15 in the evening. I think it's one of the latest times I've actually been commentating on a football match, and at the moment it's not going Burnley's way. The ball played in there. Can Burnley rescue something? Absolutely ridiculous. There's the shot coming in from Barnes. He should have come on for Chris Wood. Should have come on for Chris Wood. Why is Brady been substituted? I will never know. He was the best outlet, and Burnley now, I think there'll be boos around the stadium because it's just not been good enough tonight. This was a must winner, and in the end we're losing it. We're losing the game. Newcastle 2-1 up. That's a foul on Burnley. Oh, he's giving it the other way. He's giving it the other way. It looked a foul on Barnes. Anthony Taylor is an absolute disgrace. And Shah has gone down. He's conned the referee for me. I'm sorry. That's a free kick to Burnley, not to Newcastle. Look at this. Barnes backing him. Shah's fouled him. He's bought the free kick. It's a free kick to Burnley, not a free kick the other way. Oh, no. And when we're playing badly, now we needed the referee to be strong, and I'm afraid he hasn't. That was a poor decision from Anthony Taylor. Poor. Absolutely poor. We've got 5 minutes to go. And Burnley are on the cusp of a defeat. David Moyes in the crowd. Something has to give here at Turf Moor. I have to say, Sean Dyche, and I never thought I'd see the day I'd have to say this, but he has to be a dead man walking. Shah is actually seriously hurt, but he has bought the decision off the referee, no doubt about that. I thought it was a free kick to Burnley, I really did, and probably 3/4 of the Turf Moor will agree with me, but I'm afraid Burnley, despite the suspect referee just then, have just not been at the races. There has to be... Well, it might be coming to that day now, Russ, I'm afraid. You don't make substitutions after 82 minutes. If you know you're 2-1 down and you need new ideas, you should be making changes at the 55 to 60 minute mark. And there has to be questions asked about his tactics, about the transfer policy, and again Mike Garlick has to take responsibility. But wait a moment, here's Chris Wood inside the penalty area, tries to hook it in towards Barnes, and he can't succeed, and he's out for a throw. And Newcastle, you've got to give them a lot of credit because they stuck at it, and if they do win it, fair play to them, they've earned their win. Here's Ben Mee with a long ball in there, looking towards Boakes. De Bruyne again was about 4 or 5 yards off his line. Newcastle are really making sure that they don't make the same mistake as they did at the end of the first half. And here comes Perez away for Newcastle. I don't think he's been the man in the match by far, but it's votes that count, and at the moment it's his vote that's winning it. And I've not been impressed with him at all, looking at it objectively. But I don't have a real casting vote. I only get the vote if no one bothers voting. But Russ has voted, and he thinks Jose Perez, and he's entitled to his opinion. And we respect that opinion on the JB Clark YouTube channel. Here's Jack Court for Burnley. I think Ben Mee will certainly get, and Chris Wood will certainly be up for criticism. Sean Dyche was going to get some criticism thrown his way. Now, whatever happens now, but Sean Dyche is under real pressure. Even 6 years of loyalty doesn't buy you time in this game these days, and it's a results business. And Mike Garlick as well, he must go as well because of his feebleness to spend a few quid. And here goes Newcastle. They've shown ambition, they've shown pace, and here's a chance now for them now to really wrap it up in some style. As the ball comes in from the right hand side, they still got possession, and the ball is hooked away by Burnley. We've got just over 2 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Ashley Barnes gets in on the chest. Burnley are just not showing enough motivation to get forward here. Why wasn't not Barnes on sooner for Wood? Why wasn't Vidra come on? There has to be serious questions asked about Dyche's substitutions, Dyche's tactics, Dyche's selection at the start of a game. Henrik, very slow to react there. He should be a fresh player off the bench. There have got to be some questions asked to this manager, Sean Dyche. It really has. Yes, he's had a great deal of success, the 23-23 and the European place last season, but there has to come a time where even that sort of loyalty has to be now questioned and scrutinised. 90 seconds to go, and Burnley are on the cusp of a big defeat here, and the pressure will be cranked up tenfold for the visit of Crystal Park when they visit Selhurst Park on Saturday. And I tell you what, if Palace play like they did against Arsenal, Burnley could be in for a very, very tough afternoon. I don't want Paul Heckingbottom, he's not good enough. I want somebody with a proven Premier League experience, somebody like a Sam Allardyce that can actually get the belief that Newcastle are about to make a change. It's going to be Kennedy off and number 14 Isaac Aiden coming on, and he's obviously, well, Anthony Taylor telling him to hurry up. Well, that's good refereeing, but it's not going to make a difference to Kennedy. He just wants to waste time for the sake of it. 30 seconds just over to go. It's not great. He's getting a good reception from the Newcastle fans, by the way, but he needs to be getting off the pitch for me. But Burnley, where do they go now? Where do they go now? Where do they go? Because this, if it is to end 2-1, never mind if it ends 2-2, Sean Dyche, he is a dead man walking. Ian Wellner, they must be scratching their heads. Why on earth? They must be asked serious questions. I'd like to know what Dyche will say in the pre-match, post-match interview. We'll bring it on the JB Clark YouTube channel. We might give Rafa Benitez a bit of time as well at the end, because he has been superb. We've got 4 added minutes yet. I can't really say he's the winning manager yet because he hasn't won yet. 4 minutes added on, but they've got the ball on the far side. And I'm sorry, Paul Heckingbottom is not the man for Burnley. He's not good enough. He's not even proven at championship level. I'm sorry, he's not the man Burnley need. We need a Sam Allardyce. We need somebody of Premier League proven experience, and Mike Garlick can go out there and get the man he needs. Because right now, Sean Dyche is the wrong man. I don't want Paul Heckingbottom. No chance. He'll be another Brian Lords, I'm telling you right now. Here come Burnley now. I'm a little bit frustrated by the football. You know, you pay 35 quid, and you've got to side with the Burnley fans here. They you know, I've watched them from the commentary box a couple of times, quite a number of times. I've watched them live a few times in the last year, and I just haven't seen enough cohesion and enough know-how from them. And it's got to be thrown at the manager's door. And yes, okay, don't rub it in. It's a Rosie Perez who gets man of the match. I don't mean to be rude there, Russ, but it was his vote and it counts. His votes that count, and Perez is the winner. Now then, Hart has gone over halfway now on the right hand side, and he hooks the ball in there. Burnley have to go for it. Ben Mee to show a chance. Oh, and he was just flicked wide. It's a corner to Burnley. Folks got the header in. Burnley now need to play with some urgency now. It's now or never. A point wouldn't be the worst result in the world, but this was a must-winner. It will crank up the pressure on Saturday. There's no doubt about that. Can Burnley equalise? The corner comes in from the near side. It's another awful, turgid corner. He wasn't good enough from Barnes. He should not be on corner duty. This is why I question Brady coming off. For that reason, Joe Hart is still inside the Newcastle half as he plays that in there. It's all hands on deck, everybody now in the Newcastle half. 2 minutes of the stoppage time under to go. Burnley are on the cusp of a horrible defeat here. And questions have to be asked of the attitude of certain players, the attitude of the manager. Should he have been saying things like, this shouldn't define Burnley's season 2 days before a must-winner? They've got to be asked questions. A free kick against Isaac Aiden. We've got 1 minute 20 left of the game. Joe Hart may as well go for it now. Jack Cork to take it. If Newcastle score a third from the break, fair dues. Cork plays the ball and it's headed away by Newcastle, and the set plays have been absolutely disgraceful, and now Newcastle have a chance to break away. Joe Hart is miles out of his goal, and it wouldn't surprise me in the least if they went for goal, but Jack Cork's back there to save it for Burnley, and now Joe Hart gets the ball now. We've gone to the last minute of 4. It's just a shame they started to play whilst it was too late. Joe Hart is still midway out of his goal as he kicks that ball forward. It's a good job they got it to him. Lennon has it on the far side. Can they equalise? Lennon goes down. Free kick. Free kick against Ritchie, who's going to get booked. And I think a few Newcastle players have got away with it. So we've got 20 seconds left. This has to go in. It still doesn't detract from criticism. Ritchie, the first player in the booking, remarkably. We've got 10 seconds of the 4 left, and we are looking at a defeat here. Blue in the face unless they can get an equaliser, Burnley. They just, even if they don't, even if they score, I think they've got out of jail here. This is it. All or nothing on this free kick. It has to be good. Everybody's forward. Joe Hart has wisely stayed back this time. Free kick in from the right into the area. De Bruyne, folks, were there, and he's missed it. And that surely must be that. That surely must be that. There goes the whistle, and Burnley have lost again. They just haven't been good enough in the final third. Folks, another big chance. Wood guilty of missing 4 chances, but me culpable for the 2 goals that have won Newcastle the match. It has been a disgrace from start to finish. Newcastle, to give them their fair dues, won the game, and deservedly so. It was brilliant from them. They fought like to a man. They got the points, but how short did Burnley fall? And that's a horrible defeat. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Burnley have lost the game. They had to win. And there will be questions asked of the management, the chairman. The whole attitude of the football club has to be called into question. How can you not start a game? Well, I don't know, Russ. I just simply don't know. We're going to stay with you for a little while because this is a real bad defeat for Burnley, and I'm very, very disappointed. And it's every Burnley fan in the land. I'm going to even hit social media here because this needs to be addressed. And I need to give you a full flavour of what the supporters are feeling right now. I'm not sure if we'll be able to bring you the Sean Dyche interview for obvious reasons at the moment, but well, what can we say? Jose Perez gets the JB man in the match, begrudgingly off me, but well, it has been one of the most disappointing displays I don't think I've ever seen for a long time. It has been the most unbelievable display of poor play. Gotta give Newcastle credit, they were brilliant, they started well. Deflected goal from Ben Mee, who should never have even tried to deflect the shot. And oh my goodness me, I've got to be honest, guys, I'm utterly and totally lost for words. And I never thought I would see the day that I had to say this, but is Sean Dyche a dead man walking? I have to be honest. It's the same old rubbish that Burnley have served up here tonight. They were not positive enough, they were not creative enough, they made substitutions when it was far too late. They started on the back foot. They let Newcastle run riot, score 2 goals, which were all Burnley's making, by the way. And it has been an unbelievably poor display from start to finish. Wasn't helped by 1 or 2 suspect decisions from Anthony Taylor, but we can't detract from the bigger picture. Burnley have lost a relegation 6-pointer at home to Newcastle. And if you lose games like that, then when you look at the bigger picture, then certain teams don't deserve to stay in the Premier League. It has been... well... If looks could kill, if you could look at me now in the commentary box, I could... I mean, it's 10:30. It would have been advisable to just commentate on the jungle tonight, because we failed our big bush tucker trial tonight, I'm afraid. It has been the most disgraceful performance. I thought the Huddersfield Town result was bad, but this is even badder. And that's no disrespect to Newcastle, who played really well when they needed to. They got the 2 goals they so desperately deserved, thanks to our very generous defence. They have failed to keep a clean sheet yet again. It just has not been good enough by half. We will hopefully keep you abreast of what's happened elsewhere. Well, hopefully we'll get something back from Sean Dyche before the end of this. But well, I'm just perplexed and lost for words. There were so many negatives to take out of this tonight. I'm going to start with Ben Mee. The man should be stripped of his captaincy. The man should be stripped of his captaincy because he's not a natural leader. He should be dropped. I think Ben Gibson could do a better job at that back. The only player that really comes out of it with any real credit from the back four is Kevin Long, incidentally. He had a marvellous game, and in my opinion did not deserve to be on the losing side. Just for his individual performances alone, I thought he was superb. But there's going to be serious questions asked of the attitude of certain players this evening, and I'm waiting for social media to kick off big time, because we need to get some of these comments out at the moment. It really has been that sort of a night. I mean, I've watched some very, very poor Burnley displays in my time, and I've been following them for nearly 20 odd years, man and boy, and it's just absolutely, I find it disgraceful. The Burnley Express have posted. Here's some of the comments from that particular Facebook page. I won't mention names, but I'll mention some of the comments again. Disgusted again, says one fan. Another female fan: Burnley, you can do it, just keep believing in ignoring the negative people. I'm afraid you cannot do that. I'm afraid it's just not been good. Laughing and joking at full time. Don't like this one from Bradley Vardy. Laughing, this one really hits home for me, this. Laughing and joking at full time. Don't look like they have a care. Where is Vidra? Pacey, tricky and creative, and doesn't get a look in. Nothing at all in the final third. Going down if we don't get our act together. And I think that's a fair comment. Russ Vernon has come up with a Twitter account from Ian Chase. Pub football again, yet shocking. Barnes at the end made no impact. Why sign Vidra? Good point there made by Ian Chase 67 on Twitter, I think. I think that's his name. It's just, that's some of the comments you're getting at the moment from Burnley fans. It's just, I just find it hard to get my head now. I'm going to also look at the Facebook page of Clarets Turf, because there's quite a number of people that have shown their disgust over the last few weeks. It has been that sort of day, really, where everything could have gone wrong, has gone wrong. Burnley are the Gillingham of the Premier League. Well, in all fairness to you, Panini, I think he's wrong. I think you're actually quite right. Russ has come up with another comment. Matthew Boxstock, good evening to you on Twitter. Terrible, can't pass, can't defend, don't like ever scoring, changes are needed. I think that's a fair comment. These are some of the comments that we're getting in tonight, and it doesn't make good reading at all. If Burnley, I mean, I'd like to see what Sean Dyche's excuse really is, because he cannot be accepting that sort of display from Burnley Football Club tonight. If I was if there's any, I mean, if there's any decent Burnley fans now, I mean, there's going to be a few people who are going to stick up for the manager, stick up for them. Rick Cumley says, best game I've been to all season. I think this is more sarcastic. Best game I've been to all season. Thank you, guys. My favourite bit was when the ball was past 50 yards. Panini's still banging on about Gillingham's problems. You know, I don't think Tom Eaves is the answer. We need a proven Premier League striker who can bang in the goals. I mean, Tom Eaves is good at his level, but I'm not sure he would be the man that I would sign for Burnley right now. We need somebody with experience and know-how in the Premier League. In fact, it's continuing. My favourite bit was when the ball was past 50 yards on from the next player and then back to the goalkeeper, and that's how it felt like tonight. It really did. But Newcastle go up to 13th with 12 points, and Burnley stay 17th with 9 points, but they're 1 point above the relegation zone, and that is a big concern. Let's go through the goals again. Crossing from the right hand side, poor header away initially, but it came to Hernandez. He shot and it was going wide. Why did Ben Mee feel the need to try and block it? I will never know. Burnley again, not alert enough on the corner, didn't close the man down quickly enough. Ball whipped in there, and Ben Mee culpable. Easy for Kieran Clark. 2-0 to Newcastle, and at that point they deserved it. Absolutely deserved it. Burnley then fought back. Ben Mee sort of half atoning really for his 2 errors, but it hasn't got him off the hook. But Sam Vokes, what a good header that was into the left hand corner. There was hope then at that point, but then it was just really good defending. Chris Wood hit the ball straight at the goalkeeper a couple of times. It just wasn't good enough, and there's got to be serious questions asked of Sean Dyche now. Should he continue as Burnley manager? There has to be questions asked now at the end, and I'm very angry right now, and I feel like just chucking down my headphones in complete and utter frustration, because right now it's just not good enough. Turf Moor is empty. Turf Moor is silent. There will be the obvious spin on it. That's the table. So Newcastle have 12 points. We weren't expected to win the league, but I mean, Clarets Turf has summed it up on his status. Full time, Burnley 1, Newcastle 2. Not good enough. Burnley 1 point above the relegation zone now. Not looking good. Crystal Palace next, and that really is a pressure game now. Lee Shadwell says we would struggle in League One playing like this. We are awful, and the comments get worse and worse as you see them. And I'm going to see a few others. Also, my brother's been on as well on Clarets Turf. It has been absolutely ridiculous all the way through. It just I just find it hard to fathom at the moment that we've lost the game. It's so disappointing right now. I just wish I'm disappointed. I really am disappointed at the moment. Philip Smith, a friend of mine, Shambolic, another Twitter. My brother actually has texted in. He said on Facebook, he says Dyche and his lovers will be loving the league table and performances. Jamie Tattersall says Dyche is very cruelist. I'm not going to say the swear words because there's a few swear words thrown in for good measure. He has no clue how to change a game. How Chris Wood was on the pitch after 50 minutes is beyond me. The club needs a big change because we're definitely going down. Newcastle were awful. We were just even worse. I have to say Newcastle did actually want it more than what we did. I think that's got to be the truth of the matter there. Embarrassing, says Wavy FC. It's just... I'm speechless. Bob Lord Sausages says scary reading. Dyche, if he were a man, he would walk away tonight, hold his hands up and say, sorry ladies and gents, I can't take this any further. He's had a good innings, done wonders, miracles, forever grateful. The truth is, and we'll read on with this. He has no plan B, which is quite true. Tactically inept, brings on subs way too late. He waited after 82 goddamn minutes tonight. We've been nosediving since January. Only 9 games won since January in a full calendar year so far, including Aberdeen and Istanbul. Not good enough. That is relegation material. Any other manager will get the sack on that stat. John Tyson, why 80-minute subs? Why? Simple. Andreas says get Hart and Wood out of the team. I think Joe Hart you can't blame. Chris Wood, certainly I would agree. Russ, well, he's a journalist himself, and he hits the right marks in what he's saying there. As a journalist, very, very shambolic from Burnley. Dash must need to win his next game or be sacked. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he went tonight, quite honestly, after what we've seen tonight. I mean, it just hasn't been good enough by none. We're waiting for any interviews that we might get, but I don't think we're going to get any interviews tonight, so I'm afraid that's probably about our lot. In a second or two, we don't know, but as far as this game is concerned, it just hasn't been good enough at all. And we will try and get Sean Dyche interviewed before the night's out if we can. If we can't, then we're just going to have to knock it on the head tonight, I'm afraid. But it's not been the greatest of nights. I must admit, before we went onto the game tonight, when we hit the airwaves, I was really worried. James Bowman says sack him. These are some of the comments that are coming out at the moment of the club, and it does kill me to see this. And I never thought the day would come when I'd be actually wanting to have Sean Dyche out of the football club, because what he's done at the football club, I don't think he should have until the transfer window, because he hasn't been good enough, bar none, in my opinion. In my opinion, and this is me talking now, I just don't think it was right. And I'm so flabbergasted. I'm sorry, Panini, but I think he's had his chance. He's had 6 years. I think he's probably got 1 year too many now. I think he should have left and gone into the sun at the end of the season, then left whilst his stock was high. His stock will be at an all-time low right now. You can make no mistake about it. He's done magnificently for the football club. Carl's right. Dash needs to be a man and walk. He can't be pleased with that performance tonight. And the time it took to make the substitutions stunk. Queen Kelly says another game of rubbish and pointless tactics and substitutions. Should be beating teams like that. Same rubbish, different day. Big Sam has to be the next manager. I agree. I would have Big Sam here tomorrow if I could physically drag him down to the turf. I really would. I'm in agreement with you there, Panini, for the first time tonight. It is impossible for me to comprehend a disastrous evening for Burnley Football Club. It's, as the Queen would say, Halabonis, or whatever she called it, when Windsor Castle burnt down all those years ago. It feels like the Burnley Castle is burning down tonight. It really is, after such a turgid, horrible defeat like that. It's just, oh my, at home as well. There has to be some questions asked. When should be beating teams like that, same rubbish, different week now. But I don't want Pardew. I don't want Alan Pardew, thank you very much. I'd rather have Big Sam Allardyce now. Somebody with experience and know-how to get a team playing and get us away from this crazy town that is the bottom three. It's just, I'll be interested to know what Dyche does say afterwards, because I'm just absolutely flabbergasted. And I really want to hit home. And well, he spoke to Big Sam apparently over the weekend. He won't return to management. Well, where do Burnley go from here now? Sean Dyche is certainly not the answer from what we've seen of him tonight. But there's something that needs to be done. And also the players, I have to say, have to take the responsibility. Dyche has certainly got it wrong with tactics. Burnley is now, the football ground is a very quiet place at the moment. Everybody's gone home, and it is a really, really bad place at the moment. Turf Moor. This was 3 points. It should have been 3 points. Turf Moor Oil 3-word review. Clarets, off you go. Well, let's get on to it straight away then. These are 3-word comments now I'm going to say about it. Andy Guess, change the tactics, it's not working. Same person said again. Heaton, big capitals. Gary said, should have battered them too soft. Heaton between sticks, down and out. Dyche, same old. What? New striker, please. We're in trouble. Change the tactics. Newcastle are a bad side if they can win through on the trap. Burnley can. These are the sort of comments that are coming out of the Burnley forums tonight. Can't fault Boxers tonight, but Chris Wood can't finish. We have Vidra, paid 11 million quid for him and not played him. Wood has 2 broken legs. These are some of the things. Andy D. Short, I think, said the scoreline flattered us. I think it did, in fairness, but with Richie, horrible miss, and Yossaloon hitting the post, we would have been buried. Really worrying times. Hashtag Twitter Clarets. That really sums up the whole feeling of the Burnley fans right now, because let's be fair, Wood had his big chances. He should have stuck at least 2 of them in the back of the net, but then Newcastle could argue, and quite right, with some justification, they should have won it 3 or 4-1 in fairness, if Richie hadn't squandered from a yard, or if Joselu had stuck the ball in the back of the right-hand corner instead of the right-hand, hitting the right-hand post. Burnley would have been buried. There's no doubt about that. It's just we are shambles of a football team. We are a shambles. They have got to be serious questions asked. You know, we talk about, you know, it's just worse. Hope the Clarets another Burnley face thing. Let's see what they've had to say on the issues tonight. It is issues. You know, and I'm not trying to take away anything from Newcastle. They deserved their win, and fair play to them. Right, here's some of them. Sam Clarkson says, beaten again by the team who came and played football. First goal was lucky, second but set the tone. Players did not look interested. Inept tactics again. Too much going backwards to go forwards, which gives teams time enough to stop the attack. James Buxton says, sack Dyche now. Twitter Clarets, I made up my mind and no one's going to change it for me, so don't bother. So we know which side James Buxton's on. Robert Blaisdell on Facebook says, not good enough. I don't agree with the sack and the manager rants. I think it's a team lacking in belief and confidence and needing that little bit of luck. I think it's past all that, to be quite honest. With Everton, Liverpool, Spurs and Arsenal to play in the next 6 games, it's not going to get easier. Hang on until January and try and invest in players. But who's going to come to Burnley? I don't think Dyche should go, but if he does, it has to be before January, and we can have somebody come in, build a team on their own ideas. And Chris Whiteman, my good friend and fellow commentator, a colleague of mine, and people hammered me when I said Chris Wood was a poor signing, and he's absolutely right. And I stuck up for Chris at the time, because he got a lot of dog's abuse, wrongly so, for that. And now his words a year and a half ago, have truly and utterly hit home tonight, in the truest sense of the word. Chris Wood had 4 gilt-edged chances. Every single chance he had, he neither hit at the goalkeeper or he hit over the bar when in great goal-scoring positions. A Premier League proven striker, and Ashley Barnes would have stuck them away. There has to be something to give. And he is one of the culprits tonight for why we've lost. John Spencer said, gutted, but I support the team and believe in him. That's the way you want to play. Fantastic. Kath Young reckons Ben Mee scored the first goal. He did. He hit them the second, and ours was a miracle. Then the pantomime season started with Joe Hart. Well, you can't blame Joe Hart. No one should be blaming Joe Hart for this. But where we are today, it's Ben Mee. Ben Mee should be the first thing that should be done before anything else, right? Before we start going on at Sean Dyche and all that lot, right? I want to see Ben Mee dropped out of the first team. I want him stripped permanently of the captaincy because he's clearly not a good defender. On the evidence I've seen tonight, he's clearly not good enough as a captain or as a leader to try and inspire them. I saw nothing of that from Ben Mee tonight. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, Ben Mee is not the leader. If Tom Heaton is not on the pitch, I would have a Stephen Defoe, a Robbie Brady, somebody that can inspire. And even Ashley Barnes as skipper, he would show more inclination and more passion as a skipper than Ben Mee at the moment. Even Kevin Long. Kevin Long was the best player out on that pitch for Burnley tonight, without a shadow of a doubt. The shift he put in, reading the defensive play, was absolutely exemplary. He gets 100 out of 100 for me, and he's the only Burnley player to get that. Some folks, apart from the goal, was poor. David Miller says, how much credit does Dutch have in the bank to bank a relegation and a decent push for promotion next season? When we want to be looking at staying up here, but at the moment he doesn't. Surely his starts have to be massively. Showing how he starts to become massively questionable. Twitter Clarets hashtag on that one. It's been a shambles from start to finish tonight. But let's not detract from the team that deserved to win. Let's be fair. Newcastle was superb to a man. They wanted it more on the balance of the play. They scored 2 goals. Okay, the first one, Ben Mee should never have tried to block in the first place because it was going wide. And the second one, well, less said about that the better. And again, Ben Mee again is not exempt from any. He's not going to be exempt from any criticism whatsoever because he was pathetic. And as for Sean Dyche, well, I mean, I've seen a tweet here from Thomas Allen. Ben Mee turning around, giving his own fans stick. Shameful, really, regardless of the result. Well, that just sums up Ben Mee as a captain. Doesn't care about the club. Doesn't care about the fans. He should be stripped of the captaincy. We've got about 5 minutes to rock and roll on this stream, folks. I'm hoping we'll get an interview with Sean Dyche before we go. It is now, we're coming up to at, what time is it now? 10 to 11. We'll stay with you till 11 o'clock tonight, folks, because there has to be some. We have to stay with it. We'll try and get some reaction tonight. You know, a night that started off dramatically. Lee Duckworth, even a 4K HD 3D telly couldn't make Burnley look more one-dimensional. I think he's right. I think he does have a point. We're hoping to get some reaction, hopefully very soon, I hope. But it is very, very disappointing. I can't be. Who wants to be next? Well, I don't know what that is all about, but I'm sure we haven't got any interviews to play at the moment. So as soon as we get them, we will. I'm hoping so in the next 5 minutes. It has been from start to finish an absolute load of rubbish. It really has. And listen, I'm an avid Burnley fan. I love Burnley. It's a great club. I'm from these parts. I understand the culture of the club. I know everything, but it also hurts me to see them struggling so badly right now. It really does hurt me right now to say it. It is really, really disappointing. Hopefully we'll get in here from Sean Dyche at the hopefully post match in a second or two, because I need to know what I really do want to. I want to hear what he's got to say, what his excuses are, what he's said, but I haven't seen any evidence at all. Russ Burnham, what did I say early on in the season, mate? Chris Wood is not a Premier League striker. Burnley signed him ready for Championship again. Well, I think you're right, Chris. I think you're right, mate. CW, Chris Whiteman's on again. Ben Mee, Joe, get out. When Ben Gibson is fit, he can get lost. I'll drive into a new club myself. Quite, I agree. Ben Mee, a disgrace to, he's a disgrace. Absolutely having a go at his own fans, the Burnley fans, us. The bigger picture is Newcastle deserved the win. Just slightly going off topic, 20,628 turned up tonight, and it was absolutely turgid and horrible. And these people were paid 35 quid a pop to see that sort of football. It's just simply, they might as well have stayed at home tonight. I can't believe that, it might need some attendances to drop at the moment. Unfortunately, I'm not sure we can play Sean Dyche at the moment. He may have kept them locked in the dressing room. If they have, they've deserved it, that's for sure. It's been a wild night. We're hoping it was going to go the right way for Burnley tonight, but it hasn't. I'm going to stay with you till 11 o'clock, hopefully get some reaction. It means that Newcastle have won their first match for the first turf ball in the top flight for the first time since 1975. And, I think when we lost that game that day, I think we went on, was it to get relegated? That just shows how frustrated it all has been from Burnley, and it's not been a fantastic night at all for Burnley Football Club, and there has to be major changes within the structure of the club. The chairman must be asked serious questions. Russ agrees with Chris Whiteman. I agree with Chris Whiteman. I think it's just been one complete disaster after another disaster all season. It has been horrible. I'm so glad we went live with this, because we needed something saying straight at the time, and I don't think we're going to get any interviews. I honestly want to know what Sean Dyche said. That is for sure. It's just, I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't know what to say anymore. We've got another 4 minutes to fill, so we're going to fill it in the only way that we know how, with more comments. Stay with us in the next 4 or 5 minutes. But Thomas Allen, that just sums up the mood around the football. Jack Bell, more on the Ben Mee thing. Great to see Ben Mee showing passion and telling the home fans to F-word off at the end of the game. Maybe if he showed that passion for 90 minutes, eh? Hashtag Twitter Clarets. Shows how uncaring and honestly, Ben Mee, just get out of my football club, Ben Mee. Strip him off the captaincy, because quite frankly, the man is not good enough. I'd have Steve Davis back in a heartbeat. Now, he could captain a football team. Let's try and find some more comments tonight as well. I'm just utterly angry. Let's try and view as many comments as we can. And John Kershaw, don't agree with the boos. People have short memories. Well, I'm sorry, results do, but the results have been dire. You cannot excuse a performance like that, Mr. Kershaw, tonight. I'm sorry, but I'm not having that. Useless, horrible, turgid football does not cheer people. I'm sorry, but it isn't. My brother said, excellent Dyche performance, lots of sideways passing and useless one balls. 2 easy goals for Newcastle. Could have easily said add 2 more, quite rightly so. 2-1 down, takes off our 2 most creative players. I said that in commentary. And Joe Hart now our most creative player. A lot of Dyche lovers will be delighted with the result, I'm sure. And that's not dishing the Dyche lovers at this moment in time. And apparently he has had an interview. He said that it's all about fine margins. The same old. It is unbelievable. This is the stats. Russ has just messaged me here. Thank you, Russ. This is the actual stats tonight. Listen to this. Burnley had 14 shots, Newcastle had 17. Burnley had more shots at goal than Newcastle, Chris Wood being the biggest culprit. Burnley had 57% possession to Newcastle's 43, and they did next to nothing with that 57%. They made more passes, predictably, because it went sideways a lot of the time. 587 passes compared to 456 for Newcastle, who just did the basics right. And the pass accuracy, only 1% did it. Burnley's edging that one 82 to 81, but that does not tell the whole story of the game. It just doesn't. Sideways passing does not win you football matches. Doesn't matter how many passes you make in a match. You could have nearly 1,000 passes and you still wouldn't win. That's the harsh reality, the harsh truth of the game at the moment, because it just isn't there. Ryan Holsworth says, done the groundwork now, thanks Dash, bringing someone with a change of style. Based on that performance, says Mike Williams, there's no way we'll stay in this league. Embarrassing. Josh says Dice has had us passing around the back for the 90 minutes. Does not make a change for 80 minutes. Henrik is simply not good enough. Taylor spent all night whinging like a child. Wood is the worst player in Burnley history, and Joe Hart's better in midfield than he is in goal, and better than the entire midfield. What a jolt. More goals conceded, less scored. Passing success rate is down 86%. Shambles, embarrassing. Dyche has a game to save his life for me, and it needs to be a convincing win. I can't see it, honestly, on Saturday. Pauline says Shambles describes it perfectly. Bill says Dyche must go. Andy Barlow says Dyche out. Ben McDay says looking forward to Championship football next season. 6 new signings in January, and we want at least 1 new striker. Paul reckons our week had gone from being the best defence last year to being the worst. It's missing leadership from the likes of Heaton. Well, you can't put Ben Heaton. And yes, Carl, quite right. I thought he was bang on tonight, Kevin Long. I thought Kevin Long had a great game. Alan reckons Dyche has lost it. Subs too late. Agree with that one. Jody reckons so many things wrong in this club. It's worrying. Players lack confidence, not enough quality, poor recruitment, and to top it off, a manager that's gone absolutely stale. In my personal opinion, and this is her personal opinion, Dyche's time as Burnley manager is up. He is taking as far as he can. He looks absolutely clueless, making subs with minutes remaining when we've been losing for 70 minutes. It's beyond diabolical. If something does not change fast, we are dead certs and nailed on favourites for the Championship next season. I cannot see where a win will come from. Tonight was a relegation result. I just cannot see where the points are going to come from. Extremely worried times. Thomas says the board is doing... This is what the board's doing, gambling on not improving the squad because we did well last season. Again, Nick reckons that we need to drastically change the way we play. Disputing the ball up the field and hoping for the best is simply not working anymore. Agree with that. We need also another thing I agree with there. We need talented forwards that can play football on the floor every time. Knows that we play like every single game. They figured this out and clearly showing that we got outclassed every game. That's from Nick Telford. Neil Kennedy reckons Henrik in central midfield is better than Cork at the moment. I like Cork, but he's badly out of form. He slipped a few times again. I was thinking about the same about Hart. Should have taken the corners too. I don't think he could have done. Can anyone shed some light while Moyes was at the game? Could be completely innocent or watching the game as a spectator, or was he there for a reason? When does he come under pressure? The first 30 minutes will be on the joke. Quite right. Another game, another very poor performance. Slow start, quarters out. New direction needed. If I was Dyche, I would have gone in. If Dyche went, I'd have gone in for Dean Smith, but he's ended up at Villa. No, not Chris Wilder. Not Premier League quality. We need somebody with proven Premier League experience. Well, it is 11 o'clock at night. We had, I think, just to go back to the start of the night, Eddie Wolstenholme. Let's just concentrate on him for a second. He was the official. Let's just try and bring you some news from that. He was the referee's assessor. He was taken to hospital on the conscious state. We haven't had any latest news on that. I'm sure people will keep you up to date. I'm sure Sky Sports News will keep you up to date with the situation on poor Eddie Wolstenholme, and I'm sure you'll echo in what I was saying. What I'll say here, we wish him the very best of luck. And he was actually the referee at the Battle of Bramall Lane that saw Sheffield United run out of players back in 2002. But we haven't had any interviews come through, and it is a shameful exhibition of football from Burnley tonight. It really has been one of the most shameful exhibitions. This is I'm going to read Sean Dyche's interview. We haven't got him speaking, but this is what he's had to say, and I'm going to read word for word what he said. Now listen carefully, guys. This is the last thing I'm going to do before we go. We'll also read Rafa Benitez. Well, let's actually read the. This is what he said after the game on TV. He said there was an unlucky goal and a poor goal. This is Sean Dyche. A lot of aspects with our performance I was pleased with. We mixed our play and created chances, but the margins are small. Rubbish. He was not watching the same game as me. On balance, we probably deserve something, but once you give those goals away, it's difficult at 2-0 down in the Premier League. The mentality was excellent, but I'm obviously frustrated with the result. Oh, I'm glad you feel that way, Sean, because there's about 20,000 Burnley fans who absolutely going potty with the form that we're showing. Not enough, not good enough. He also goes on to say, we had to stretch out their back five, which we attempted to do in the second half. They were really good moments of good play. So looking beyond the result, we're looking to come back to what we think we can be. What, boring football? Sorry, not good enough. There is a process at the moment where the team getting stronger. We're starting to look like what we can be, but we have to get on the right side of these margins. That takes work, mental toughness, which we have. Well, we saw precious little of that tonight. We've had to fight for everything we got so far. We'll continue to do that. We need to start playing football. I think that's the first thing we need to do. Let's have a look at Rafa. When I talk about my future, talk about what can happen, we're talking about the future of Newcastle United Football Club. It's not Rafa Benitez in the end. If we sign the players, I will not take the players home with me, so they will stay there. And if they are good players, they can be in the future. It's also a question of wait, go to January, see what we can do. Now is the time to enjoy. I am very pleased in England. I'm pleased with the fans behind me. And I think Chris Whiteman, is looking to come on, I think, at some point. So I better bring him into the situation. We'll bring CW in a second or two when we can get him online in a second. Don't switch your mic on, Chris, because I'm still live. And we're going to get you on the... and we'll get you started for a minute. So I'll come on in a second or two, because I know Chris wants to join me over in Colchester, where he's been watching the match tonight. I'm absolutely out of voice, as you can tell, because I've been at it for 90 minutes this afternoon. So Chris, your assessment really on what was a really poor performance tonight. What was your verdict of it? Carry on, Chris. You're well. Chris, carry on.
Well, quality player.
Carry on, Chris. Carry on, Chris.
predictable. There's no plan B. And Sean Dyche, I mean, I love the man to bits. I really do. What he has achieved at the club in his time here. But I was quietly worried when he signed that new, 5-year contract. Gifted striker we have, but he's not exactly different from Vokes, from Wood, from Jonathan Walters, who's on loan at Ipswich. The strike force that we had, out of all of those strikers, the quickest guy was Nicky Wells, and he couldn't hit a barn door, and he's out on loan as well. So what options do they have to change up front? Do you play Goodmanson up front? He's not a natural striker. He's a winger. He's been dragging us around. Goodmanson has been carrying us for ages and ages, and there's not much, the midfield, just Jack Cork, he's just been meh. Westwood, meh. It's just there's a lack of drive from the players at all this season. Yes, we got a great point at Leicester just before the international break, and we're sitting here thinking, right, we can recover after the international break, come back and be better. And they go and lay an absolute egg like that. I mean, what was that? And the way that the players responded at the final whistle, not liking how the crowd reacted. I'm sorry, but this is to the whole club in general as well, by the way. When you make a profit, and you could have had empty stadiums to make and still make a profit, we are well and truly entitled to boo you. Because if you play like that and continue to play like that, not only will you be relegated, you'll be playing in front of an empty stadium because we'll tell you where to go. That was awful tonight. It's the worst I've seen Burnley play in years. The worst we played beforehand was Man City back in 2010 when they drummed us, 5-6-1. Because there was literally no fight. That was worse than that tonight. Because Newcastle aren't Man City. No disrespect to them, but they're in a they've got an owner who's more tight-fisted than Mike Garlick is. I can't. There's a lack of leadership. I do think we need Tom Heaton back, but the way Joe Hart has been playing in these bad games doesn't justify dropping him. But I don't know where we're going at this point. If we lose to Crystal Palace, win his car losses with Dyche, thank him, give him a pat on the back, give him that wonderful payoff that he will now receive because he's only just signed a 5-year contract, which is going to, cut our transfer fund in half. Not that Mike Garlick would give us any money to spend anyway. I mean, we've got a technical director now, so, we might be okay come January, but the situation we will find ourselves in January, if we keep playing like this, we're going to be dead and buried in the relegation zone by quite a long way. And if we lose to Palace, we face Liverpool afterwards, then we have a game against Brighton. Worthy enough of demanding a refund because that was pretty poor. So I don't really know what else to say about that at the moment. I'm incensed.
Yeah, I can understand that, Chris. And there's a lot of people, as you said. I mean, what all you've said is absolutely true, and you've got the stay with us.
We've got no width at all.
Yeah,
I've said it for ages. No pace, no versatile strikers. Chris Wood's a donkey. It's just awful.
Okay, Chris, just stay with us for a second because I've got another Burnley fan on the line. It happens to be my brother, Carl. Go Good evening, Carl. What was your assessment? You've got the floor to yourself. What was your assessment on tonight's performance? And I want, in your own honesty, all honesty, because you've been not a fan of the Dyche movement for a long time now. But what do you think needs to happen at Burnley after such a disappointing night that we've had tonight?
Well, is he active? It'd be good if he switched his microphone on. Is it? I'm going to say you're misfiring like Ben Mee right now with the microphone antics. Right now, probably Fat Sam, because he knows how to get us out. I'd have him to the end of the season. Yeah, but if you offer him enough money, you know, it's all we all know that he likes a bit of money. That is the issue, though. Yeah, as much as we sit here going on about saying it's time for Dyche to go, I don't have a clue who would replace him with. You know, I mean, it's. I mean, yeah. I said it 2 years ago. When we signed him, I said it. He's a waste of money. We didn't need another target man like that. And sure, his first season was reasonably good, but he was being helped by a certain Mr. Ashley Barnes. And the idea, I mean, I don't know what was going through Dyche's mind playing Vokes and Woods up front together. I mean, you could have wheeled Paul Scholes out of retirement, played him at centre back, and he would have more pace than them two. That's literally how solid they are. They're supporting him because of what he's done. That's why. Because of what he's achieved. You know, we've had him since 2012, 2013, and what he's achieved is incredible. That is why they will defend him. Everyone will defend Sean Dyche, or the ones that support him endlessly, because of what he has achieved at the club. You know, when we got relegated with him the last time, it was like, well, it's not his fault. We're up against it. You know, this season where we've failed, and it all stems back to that awful transfer window we had at the start of the season, where we just didn't do between the lot of them, between Dyche, between Garlick, between whoever was in charge of transfers, didn't seize upon the opportunity to get in the quality players that we needed to not only bolster the squad strength, but to just improve the club as a whole. Now we find ourselves in a position where we're in a relegation dogfight, and nobody's going to want to come to a club in a relegation dogfight. We've literally gone from the top of the appealing area, which is, you know, playing European football, to now nobody will come to us because we're knee-deep in it. And why would anyone walk into that unless, you know, they want to play Premier League football briefly, because that's the way we're playing right now. That's all it's going to be. Well, yeah, we didn't. We finished the season awfully last year as well, didn't we? Sean Dyche, because this is the exact same group of players, minus Vidra and Joe Hart and Ben Gibson. It's the exact same group that finished 7th last year. What's changed? What's going? The manager's the same. We play the same. We've got the same group of lads. You know, the only difference is that we don't have Nick Pope in goal. Was he the reason we finished 7th last year? Yeah, he was. And we didn't have Tom Heaton playing then, so it can't be leadership wasn't an issue there. I mean, Jack Cork was captain a lot last year. I don't know why isn't he the captain? I mean, he hasn't particularly played great recently, but why hasn't he been given the armband instead of Ben Mee? Because quite right now, Ben Mee, as far as I'm concerned, the way how he responded at the final whistle, I'd burn his shirt if I owned one. I'd burn it. I'd throw it at him on fire. He should never put on the shirt again. Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, we could have played at an empty stadium last year and still made a profit as a club. And you're asking a fan base where in a place where unemployment is at an unprecedented level to come out and pay 30 quid every week to see their club, and they put in performances like that. You seriously think they're going to be sympathetic? I mean, come on. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was unfortunate in the Europa League, and obviously he's been injured. But when he comes back fit, along with Tarkowski, I don't even know what the situation is with our defence right now, because Lowton's the obvious right back because he doesn't have any competition really, and rotating Taylor and Ward, although I forget who played tonight, it doesn't matter, it was fucking shite, excuse my language. I hate to break the family friendly bit there, but I'm losing it here because
To be honest with you, Chris, can I just butt in at this point? We're after the watershed anyway, and I think it's understandable after the night we've seen so far. But I'm hoping that Russ Vernon can also hear me, because I think Russ wants to ask you both a question. Are you there, Russ, at all?
Hold on, I'll work on that.
It's just been awful, really, this tonight. And
John,
yeah.
who would you like to see come in as Burnley manager?
I'd have to agree with Sam Allardyce at the moment. I think he's probably the man that we need to get us out of this situation. That's my opinion. I've said that all night. That's my opinion. But I've got Russ on the line now. Russ, good evening to you, Russ. How are you?
Good evening, JB and fan mate. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you very much. Although I'm very annoyed, obviously.
Can you just turn your telly down, because I'm hearing a lot of feedback?
Right. In fact, I'll close the door and then you can't hear.
No, it's not your telly, mate.
I have to do it because I can't hear through my headphones. Do apologise.
Okay.
Right. Right, Russ.
Yes, JB?
First of all, before you ask the question to Chris and Carl, I want your assessment and your honest assessment, and you can be as brutal and as honest as you like on this. What did you think about Burnley's performance tonight? I mean, do you concur with what's been said so far, or do you have different theories as to why Burnley are really struggling at the moment?
Well, I actually watched the game, JB, as you know me, as I've been updating you with some other stuff regarding the game as well, and I've had me say on the chat, I thought it was very, very poor from Burnley Football Club tonight. Burnley were the only team that was interested in, wasn't interested in the game. Newcastle was interested in winning the game. They've played the best football this season I've seen from Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
But from a Burnley perspective, as you mentioned on the commentary, and as been mentioned tonight in the chat and on mic as well, I think Kevin Long was the only one who
I would concur with that, yes.
tonight.
Yes.
Kevin Long
He was
had a
the
really good
defender.
game.
Well, I think we all
Brilliant
agree on that one, I
performance,
think. It's just been, you know, it's been I think disaster is probably the wrong word, but it's been a horrible night. I mean, it's not a disaster; nobody's died, but the whole concept is not good at football. There's no plan B, as a lot of commenters have said. Now, Ross, what was your question you were going to ask the boys? Ask away.
Right, guys. Can you hear me first of all, guys?
Yeah.
Can you hear him, Chris?
I can hear you twice through John's TV as well.
No, it's me. Well, the question I'd like to ask you guys is, I spoke to Big Sam of the weekend, as I mentioned in the chat. He's not interested in coming back into management just yet because he's happy with family time. The people who are out of work, including Martin O'Neill, who's just left Republic of Ireland, who would you have as manager if you take Sam Allardyce out of the equation? Out of work managers now, who would you appoint as manager and why? And I'm going to throw that out first to Chris Wyman, CW, over to you.
Oh, great, drop me in it. It's a terrible prospect, if I'm honest. There aren't many managers out of work that I would like because there's a good reason that they're out of work. Martin O'Neill, I think, is far too out of touch with club football. I just don't think he would be able to. I mean, I'm trying to think of the other options. I mean, obviously, Alan Pardew makes me want to vomit. I wouldn't have him. It's really. I mean, I would have had half a go at Mick McCarthy, but he's literally just gone to Ireland. But it's horrid. I mean, if you want my personal opinion, it might be dropping him in at the deep end. But I'd see if Grezza would come back. It might be a long shot, but quite frankly, there's a lack of passion in the club right now, and I think he would bring a bit of it back. But in terms of out of work people, I wouldn't have any of them, if I'm honest. I can't. We don't appeal to foreign managers, so any of those are out of the question. So it's literally a case of going, typical British kind of manager, or Martin O'Neill, or go down the silly route of trying to have Pardew have his wonderful half a season and then just let him go at the end of the season. That's David Moyes, he did all right at West Ham, but in terms of long term, I don't think it has too much traction to it. So, quite frankly, I don't really like any of them. If it were my choice, I'd probably I'd have Grezza on a whim based on the fact that he'd bring a bit of passion back to the side, and he was a former captain of the club. We'd know a bit about giving them a kick up the backside, but I don't really know who we'd replace Deitch with, but something has got to give. I don't know what you think, Carl. I mean, Fat Sam knows how to dig clubs out of relegation dogfights, which is what we're in. I wouldn't mind giving him a contract to the end of the season and pay him whatever he wants to get us out of it, and then give us the off-season to find a manager who wants to take us forward. I mean, we'll have a technical director, which, as Carl informed us of off-air a few days ago, and he's used to work for Man City, so he'll have his connections. Whether that'll help, maybe that's what they're hanging on to Deitch for. Whether he gets a bit of help there, but I don't really know what to think at this point. We're in a situation where the option is get rid, and the replacements aren't particularly any better. But a change in face and philosophy might be worth the gamble, or we can sit on it, hope that it gets better, hope that Deitch can somehow pull the magic out from last year, because it is the same group of players no matter how you look at it, and get to January and hope that the technical director gets us some good faces in. But they're going to have to spend money, and I don't know whether the board that we have likes that idea of having to spend money on players, because between them they showed it in the start of the season that they didn't really want to do that, And when they did stupid haggling deals, which made club turn around and say, "Oh, that's funny. Now go away because we're not going to deal with insulting offers." So it's yeah. Oh, his interviews are cut and paste. Yeah. Well, do you remember when it's reminiscent of Owen Coyle, if I'm honest. He'd come out after a loss and the same old drivel would be given. You know, fine margins. We had really good team spirit, but we weren't quite there. The Premier League's a tough division. Yes, we know. We've been in it now. This is our third season in a row in it. We've been in it 5 times. You know, we know that the Premier League is a tough division. But if you know how small the margins are, why didn't you do something about it? You know, we're supposed to be when we finished 7th, we were supposed to close that gap between the rest of them, which is the top 6, and you know the teams around us. We were supposed to push on a bit and get a bit better, so we would be fighting for 7th again, ideally. But no, we sat back and just let the transfer window go by, and left ourselves in a position where we can only play one style of football, which is basically hoofball, shithouse football, as it's been called, which against a lot of teams, particularly clubs that are fighting as hard as we are to stay in the league, that's not going to cut the mustard. You know, yeah, sure, these tiki-taka teams might not like the physicality, and we might get the better of them here and there, but ultimately, it's how much fight does the team have? That's just it. That's just it. We don't have a plan B because we can't make a plan B. We don't have that pacey player off the bench to come on and make the defenders suddenly have to think about having to drop a bit deeper. We've got nothing. Yeah.
Right, guys.
I'm sorry, but I can't put that any more blunt.
Guys, I just want to ask a quick point, all 3 of you. What are your views on the substitutions tonight? Because Sean Dyche, as you will have seen, I want these people to listen to this.
Same old bloody story is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about the time, not just the times that he left it to make the substitutions. Who he replaced, Robbie Brady, and who was the other guy? I've forgotten.
Stephen
Defoe. Yeah. I want to know what was going through his mind. What was his geography when he made those very odd decisions at a very odd time? What if you were in Sean Dyche's position, guys? And I want your honest opinion. Who would you have replaced? What would you have done on the substitutions a bit differently? And how long would you have left it in the second half before making these changes?
Another really bad game.
Yeah.
So I personally would have dragged Lennon off.
Yep.
Also, Chris Wood, through Ashley Barnes.
Yeah, I said that in commentary actually.
And pretty much, you're losing 2.
Oh, he didn't even use all 3. He only used 2 subs. Well, what the hell is he doing? You know, you've got Vidra on the bench, who scored so many goals last season, and he hasn't been given a sniff so far this season, despite the fact that we have a goal-scoring issue. He's being given bits here and there, and he didn't even play tonight. Like, what the hell? You've got 3 subs. Use them. And why use them with 8 minutes to go? That's like our first season in the Premiership under Dyche. You'd throw Jutkiewicz on for the last 3 minutes. What the hell's that going to do? He's still making the same mistakes he made the first time around, and he's had 3 seasons to learn how to do it, and he hasn't clicked. It's like, I love Sean Dyche a bit, but he's really starting to rub me up the wrong way with how stubborn he is. Like, you're losing. Change something, for God's sake. You know, you'd go in 2-1 at half-time. Yes, we had a bit of momentum after Volk scored the equaliser. And subs, what in whose right mind do you take Defoe off for Jeff Hendrick? Jeff Hendrick, I'm sorry, but he's not good enough. He's scored a few cracking goals for us in the few seasons, and he's a good rotation player. But when you need a goal, you do not take off your best playmaker and put on Jeff Hendrick. That's like just admitting it's game over. Like, what the hell? And Brady, taking Brady off. Brady's a man who can create all sorts of problems. And it's just like... But here's the other thing. You mentioned Lennon. Who do you replace him with? We haven't got any wingers on the bench. You know. Exactly. Yeah. This is what I mean. We've got nothing. We've got no depth, no width, no pace, no fight. There's nothing at this club right now. Well, then the technical director needs to sit there and go, well, that's what you need, and that's what I'm going to get you, regardless of whether you like it or not. Until somebody tells... Deitch runs everything at the moment, and somebody's got to turn around and tell him, right, I'm going to take this off you now, because you've clearly got your mind on too many things.
Right, guys.
This is the problem, though, that Arsenal had with Wenger. I know it's not the same thing, and I had him as well. But when one man controls so much of a club, it's a bad trait for me.
Right, guys, I've got Sean Dyche's interview here to play, so we're going to listen to Sean Dyche's interview.
Here we go.
And I want your reactions
get your bingo
afterwards.
cards out, lads.
Okay, so this is Sean Dyche now talking with the media afterwards. And listen very carefully. Okay.
Here we go.
And I want
Get your bingo cards out, lads.
Okay. Here we go. Sean Dyche's interview. Well, here we are. Sean Dyche.
How frustrated are you this evening after that? I'm frustrated that the margins that are so important in these games have gone against us, particularly the first goal. It's very frustrating when you get a deflected goal, and particularly one of that nature, which the keeper can't do anything with. The second goal is frustrating for different reasons. Soft goal, and we're a bit guilty of that this season compared to last. A few soft goals we've given away. From then on in, the mentality was very good. I thought we built into the first half, certainly deserved a goal in the first half, and got back in it in the sense of a 2-1, it's a tight game. And second half, after a slow start, we actually provided enough to go and get an equaliser, I felt, and certainly chance-wise. So it's pleasing in that respect, because, you've got to create chances, and we did. But it's how we can then take them chances and obviously lock the door on the backside. So, better signs, but we've got to get results, of course, we know that.
What's changed or then is missing? Because the fine margins element, I think you won 12 very, very close games last season, 1-0. So how do you resurrect that for this campaign?
Well, the details, that's an important factor. Sometimes you need a scratch of luck. I thought their first goal, they get that scratch of luck. We haven't had too many of them this season. So, sometimes need that. I've said it many times. You need a decision to go your way sometimes. You need a team that might have a dip, etc., etc. But the biggest thing of all, you need to take care of yourselves. And I thought we did a lot of work tonight to do that. I thought there was a good performance underneath there. If you took the score out of tonight, but I think people would say we gave a good performance and an effective performance. So that's a good marker for us. Now we've got to build on the mentality and turn that into results, of course.
And just on that mentality, there were chances right until, the very end. It shows there is a degree of character within the squad to try and affect those changes.
Oh, there's no lack of character. You can't get to where we've got to over the last 6 years, another side with no character. The mentality is intact, and you saw that, as you said, folks. He's got a chance to score the equaliser within 9 seconds of the game. So no, the mentality is firm, and the mentality is, I think, it's worthy of a side who've had to fight for everything they've got. We've got to continue with that mentality. That's an important factor, especially when people are asking questions. So I think some really good stuff tonight and some stuff to be pleased with, but inevitably, I'm never naive enough to know you've got to get results.
Well, that's Sean Dyche's opinion, and I've just heard you too, and you're absolutely furious with what he said.
Where on earth?
What game was he watching to think that there was anything positive to take out of that?
I know. I agree there, we call me. Burnley were absolutely atrocious, didn't create a single thing apart from that Vokes goal in the first half, and didn't create a single thing in the second until that late chance where Vokes headed over the bar There was nothing there to create anything from Burnley. And with the substitutions, I would have took off, as JB said in commentary, I would have took off Chris Wood for Ashley Barnes, and I would have fetched on Vidra for Jack Cork, and maybe fetch on, if we were going to fetch on Hendrick, I would have fetched him on for Lennon and put Defoe out wide and left Brady on and gone through late on. Vokes up front, Barnes and Vidra all up front, all three attacking players, pacey play. Vidra's a good pacey striker, but not up to Premier League pace enough for me just yet. And as I said to JB plenty of times before, Chris Wood is not a Premiership striker.
Thank you.
He has been bought for when Burnley Football Club return to the Championship, and you'll utilise him there because he's a Championship striker playing in the Premier League. Yes, okay, we've moved on from him now. We don't need a tall man up front. We've got key man up front to us banging in the goals. And before you say, oh, Chris, JB or Carl, you can't have him at Burnley Football Club. He's staying put with Leeds United. That is key man Roofer I'm talking about there. And
we understood loud and clear what you were talking about there, Russell. We got that. We got the gist of it. But now, I mean, what now? I mean, we you know, we sit here. I mean, we talk about this, Chris, and Carl, week after week, don't we? It's just
what happens when we play Palace?
When you play Palace, Chris, for me, when you play Palace, Chris, for me, you'll probably set up like you did it again tonight. You'll go 2-0 down. You'll get a goal by just before half time. It'll be still 2-1. Palace will get a goal on the break with 15 minutes to go. It'll leave it till about 80th minute, 82nd minute, again like you done tonight. Make changes, make the wrong changes, and you'll have another defeat on the board. And
then get smashed by Liverpool.
And then the board will keep him in for the Liverpool game, see if he can turn it around, and he'll end up getting smashed 6-0.
I don't think the board will sack him. This is the thing. He's just signed a new 5-year contract. Exactly.
Yeah, well, I think... Go, Carl.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's just it. I mean, the Palace game is probably where we're going to get torn a new one by Zaha and Townsend's pace. And, you know,
I agree.
This is just it. We're going to find ourselves, we'll probably be 2-0 down at half time. He won't make any changes. I mean, I'd like to see him show a bit of attacking nous, you know, say, bugger it, just go 3 at the back, sell Lowton and Taylor to just bomb forward because, you know, we don't have any sub-wingers. You know, they're the closest thing to width. Throw Kevin Long on. No, we don't. It's just the problem we have is that we lump it long and then it just comes straight back. You know, there's no. Who are the 2 target men that are playing together supposed to flick the ball onto? No one. Flick it onto each other? No. Wood's not a very good target man, if I'm honest. Voke is someone you launch crosses at. He's not a hold-up play target man. But it's... This is the thing. I look at Burnley's schedule now, and I don't know where the next point is going to come from.
Just put in there and just tell you Can I just put in there and tell you the next 6 fixtures very quickly? The December fixtures we have to play. In the next few fixtures, we play Palace away. Then next Wednesday we've got Liverpool at home, and then on the Saturday we're away at. Just bear with me a second. Brighton, yep. Home to Brighton, sorry. And then on the 15th we play Spurs at the Wembley. It's been confirmed. And then we've got to go back to North London on the 22nd. And then on Boxing Day we're at home to Everton. And then we've got to go play West Ham with Huddersfield on New Year's Day. Now, where do you think, realistically, guys, where the next few points are going to come from? I mean, we have to get something against Crystal Palace. And that's a game you can hear on the JB Clark YouTube channel on Saturday, incidentally.
I can want to see us getting out.
And that's just a point. I mean, this is the thing. It's like I've looked at our run from what was it? After Man City and Chelsea thumped us, I'm sitting there going, right, West Ham we could nick a point. Leicester, it's going to be tough to go because of what happened. You know, today was a must-win. You know, you're looking at getting maybe 5 points out of the last 3 games. We've got out. Yeah. It was an odd situation, but looking at our fixture list now, I mean, as you just said, I mean, Brighton perhaps get a point. Palace I can't see us getting past because they've got far too much pace and width, and if Benteke remembers how to play football for a brief moment, he'll beat our centre-halves the way they're playing. And then it's just, you know, you got Tottenham, Arsenal, Everton. You know, you're not going to get any points out of that realistically, especially the way Everton are playing. West Ham, obviously they did us over. So, you know, and then so we're looking at the 2nd of January when we play Huddersfield. Yeah, and we've got to play them away now. So, and they'll pencil that in. The way we're playing now, teams are looking at us going, that's a must-win because they're losing all the time. So all of a sudden they're getting the emphasis on needing to win. And you've got, what is it, January, you've got Huddersfield Town, Fulham and Watford as a 3-game stretch from the 2nd to the 19th. If you don't get 9 points from that, we'll be dead and buried because then we have to go play Manchester United at Old Trafford, and we don't know which United will turn up there. We sod's law will turn up against them expecting them to play absolutely rubbish and they'll thump us. And then it just keeps going. I mean, February we've got Southampton, Brighton. I mean, to be honest, I just need January to get it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right now with the technical director, we're going to find out how much say Dyche has in the transfers at that point, because if the technical director comes up with loads of ideas and we still don't sign anyone, and we've got a technical director, especially of his calibre, you know, the former Man City one signed players like Aguero and co. If we don't bring anyone in January, there's a serious issue with Dyche basically saying no to those kind of players, not types like Aguero, but you know. The technical director's making suggestions and Dyche is just being stubborn and going, no, I like the group of lads we've currently got, you know. We've got a team ethos of lump it or like it, you know. But as we've said, we've got ourselves now stuck in this position where he's just signed a 5-year contract. So to change this situation, we're going to have to spend money to either get rid of him, which might wreck our transfer budget, or we've got to stick with it and he might potentially not sign anyone. And if he doesn't sign anyone in January, yeah, you know, just get your tickets for next season in the Championship. I mean, it might be a little bit more exciting, let's be honest. Just existing in the Premier League is a bit boring, but, you know, it's bloody doing nothing. He'll go on about saying, oh, we don't have the appeal of playing European football like some of the other clubs, when at start of season we had that. I guarantee he'll say that. Yeah, there's lots out there. Come here, prove yourself, earn yourself a move to a bigger club. That's what we've always been. That's the way players like Michael Keane have built themselves. Yeah. We haven't even done what we've done in previous years and used the loan market. You know, there are plenty of players out there who are good enough to play in the Premier League, but are stuck at a club like Loftus-Cheek. Perfect example. I know it's a bit of a stretch, you know, but you look what he did at Palace. You know, we're in a situation where, I mean, I'd love a Loftus-Cheek someone like Loftus-Cheek at the club. He'd give a bit of drive to the midfield, little bit of pace as well. But, you know, our problem, we've got a severely big problem of being unable to score more than one goal a game if we're lucky, and we're leaking goals. You know, this was the thing last season. I mean, it was mentioned in the interview. We made those fine margin 1-0 victories because the defence was solid. But now the defence has gone to shit. You know, despite it being the same group of players, we're now shipping goals and not scoring enough. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. No, they're not. Yep. Well, this is the problem of being mildly successful. You've got to reward those people after you have a really good season, and they're like, oh yeah, well, we're worthy of that now because we've done really well. And then you give it to them, they start coasting, and then stuff starts going wrong, and then they start throwing a strop when they get booed. You know, and they sit there go, I'm one of your best players. I don't care.
I'll be honest with you, lads, listen. I think there's too many big-time Billies, or Billy Big Times, in that team right now. Ben Mee showing the prime example after the final whistle, as we all know. But, you know...
Ben Mee can go.
You know, I agree with you. I think he should be stripped to the captaincy because I don't think, in my opinion, and anyone can disagree with me, and I like to know who's... You know, and I bet 50% of you will agree with me on this one. I think he should be stripped to the captaincy. He should be dropped. I think Ben Gibson should come in. I think he should have his chance. Tarkowski had his chance and failed. I think Kevin Long deserves to be in the team on merit. I think Gibson should come in, and I think we need a captain that shows a bit more passion. Ben Mee, tonight, did not show any passion whatsoever.
John, I would give it not Ben Mee, Gibson.
Good shout. I would give it Ben Gibson because he'd tell you what, he would lead a team. But Ben Mee just doesn't look a leader at all. He looks out of sorts. He's a total liability.
And well, he did all right last season as captain, but obviously this season's against what happened last year. And the thing defensively as well, that's Jimmy Dunn. When his loan finishes in January, I'd give him a shot when he comes back. Oh yes, Ashley Barnes as captain, what a dream! But
for me, for the captaincy, you can agree with me or disagree with me, JB, Chris, and Carl. But for me, I think the captaincy should be either a defender or a midfield player, and out of that back line who played tonight, the one I'd give captaincy to, because I think he led the line well and led it as a leader, is Kevin Long. I would give Kevin Long a shot of captaincy.
That's an interesting shout.
See how well.
Thing is, he's been at the club a while.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think you're far wrong with that, Russ. I mean, the only problem is he hasn't played enough games. That's the only problem because he's more of a standing player. But tonight, out the back four, he did play magnificently. And I thought, and I've got to be honest, I said it in commentary, I'll still say it again now, guys, that I thought he was Burnley's best player of the game. Out of 100 points, I would allocate 100 out of him because I thought he was the only positive to come out of tonight.
I agree.
Yeah, he is.
He is.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes from... Yeah.
And what I agree with as well with what you said earlier, Carl, is where Dwight McNeil is. He performed well early on in this season, and he's not been given, in the last few games, he's not been given a chance. Why is that? One player I would recall back in January and give a shot, see how well he does,
I don't even know
Nicky
where he
Wells.
is. Is he on loan anywhere, or is he still around the squad? You'd call Nicky
Mr.
Wells back.
I would call Nicky Wells back and give him a shout up front. Instead of Chris Wood, have Wells up there alongside, say, Vokes or Barnes, and see how well those two work together. And if he's going to play Wood up there, instead of long hitting ball up for him to hold up with his chest, which I found out at Leeds he wasn't very good at, play the ball into his feet, and he can hold defenders off that way rather than play it into his chest. Because when the ball is played into Wood's chest, he always seems to lose it. But if he is going to play Wood, play it to his feet, which is his strengths as the lone man, and he'd keep, and that would be brilliantly to keep that way. I'd keep him as a defender. If he is going to play him, I'd play him with ball playing up to his feet rather than hitting the ball long, because that's where Burnley agree when they're hitting the ball long towards him to hold up that way. Yeah. He could. Yeah, I agree, Carl. Carl, if I was in the Championship, if I was against, for example, if I were against a Burton or a Barnsley if he was in the Championship with Burnley, would have put them chances away. Against these types of opposition with Newcastle, with players who have got experience international level and some good quality players in the backline, with likes Kieran Clark, I thought he played exceptionally well for Newcastle, led the line as a captain, which me didn't do for Burnley. And Yedelin, American international, he played well, and against those types of players, Wood is going to struggle against. Put him in the Championship against the likes of, say, for example, Richard
Barnsley.
Wood or Rotherham or Bar. I would give an example of a player, Richard Wood of Rotherham or Serie Jai Rotherham. Wood would take those chances, as he proved when he played for Leeds against those kind of players in the Championship with Leeds.
He reminds me a lot of Stephen Fletcher.
Yeah, Stephen Fletcher, that's another good shout. It is.
Well, that's the thing. We talk about strikers are only as good as their service.
I agree, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you had Brian McNeil in there in your side tonight, instead of say Aaron Lennon and him and Brady, McNeil and Brady would have provided more crosses together combat than what Lennon did through the entire game. I can't recall Lennon beating his man and putting a ball in, or if he did try and put a ball in, the Newcastle player would get into it first. The crosser staff from Burnley never beat the first man. It was always hitting the first man. And that was where Burnley's problem lied. They couldn't get the ball high enough over the defence, and if they did from corners, they were going too near the keeper, De Vrinker. So where do you go from there? You need to put it in the middle, run about the 6-yard, run about the penalty spot, to where the keeper come free, and then play it on towards the goal where the keeper's gone from, and then they've got a free header towards goal to head it into the net. Where they're not doing that, they're putting it too near the goalkeeper from both sides and corners tonight. And if you continue to do that, you're going to continue to waste chances, and the fans are going to go and dash us back, like they have done tonight on Twitter, which I've seen as well.
Yeah.
I honestly think I need to pick up on what you've just said there, Carl. I think some of them don't want us to be ambitious enough or try and get to mid-table or have a run in the cup, for example. It's just ridiculous how they can actually. They need to wake up and smell the coffee, don't they? I mean, let's be fair.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of our fan base talks about, well, we're just little old Burnley, you know. We've been punching above our weight for a long time, and it's just kind of like, Yeah, but don't you ever want to push on and become something more than little old Burnley? You know, are we just happy with sitting doing nothing? Because, you know, football's... You strive for win. Why are you in football if you don't care for winning? You know, if you're just happy to be... I mean, don't get me wrong, being in the Championship was fun because every game you didn't know what you were going to get, but, you know, it's about winning. I mean, you strive for it. You get the buzz from it, and it's just...
Yeah, if you win one game... Yeah, and if you win one game, the momentum change. That win will change the mood of the players. Give the players.
We look at Newcastle.
You can build on it. Newcastle now 3 consecutive wins. And
they've gone from being dead set for relegation to now they look like they're going to confidently stay up.
Yeah, and I've seen a quote here, which what Dash has said to local radio, BBC Lancashire Sport this evening. He went, maybe a point would have been fair. Well, this game is not always fair.
Well, if that's the case, Russ, then he's out of order, then, isn't he?
He is.
I mean, let's be fair.
But the point was not being fair. Newcastle deserved all 3 points tonight. Burnley got what they actually deserved, which was nothing from this game.
Well, we weren't good enough to even remotely claim a draw.
Yeah, I'm not...
Yeah.
Colin, Chris and JB, I'm not actually saying this as a leader, I'm saying this as a journalist point of view this evening, but Burnley did not deserve anything from this game whatsoever.
No.
Yeah. Bar Leicester, you deserve...
That was a flattering scoreline, that.
You were lucky to win that game 4-0. And when you lost to Man City 5-0, that game should and could have been more for Man City. The Man City.
The Wolves game was the worst one for me, because
I agree with that one as well.
Wolves. That could have been 5 or 6 against Wolves. I mean, no disrespect to them, but the way Joe Hart played in that particular game. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, if I'm looking at Burnley's results from early on in season, I'm going back to September now. You played Burton Albion in the EFL Cup 3rd round. Burton are in League One, and a League One side overcome a Premier League side.
Yeah, but we're terrible favourites. That's always we've never been good favourites. We've always been the plucky underdog, and when the role is reversed, we're terrible.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, yes, that pacey winger we so dearly miss.
Michael Kelly's now a Southend, not a Burton, by the way. Yeah, he's been a Southend for quite a few seasons
if you feel like we're being defensively frail, LA Galaxy's just released Ashley Cole, so you know it could be the answer.
But Chris, I don't think you need strengthening on the left hand side. Taylor, who's done well when he's come in, I think along with Long tonight, he looked okay when he got forward. It was just his defensive stability.
Dyche needs to make up his mind who he wants to play out of those two, because it frustrates the hell out of me when he keeps rotating them. I'm just kind of like, pick one and let him get momentum. Well, they're crap. They've been crap all season. Yeah, well, like I said, we were all sitting here at the start of at the back end of our season before we had that horrendous run at the back, going, why isn't Ben Mee getting the call up? You're seeing his partners get called up. Tarkowski got called up. They've been keen the season beforehand. The 2 goalkeepers, his partner, have been called up, and now Ben Mee, all of a sudden, with his bumper contract, he's being found out, as you just said, and it's just a joke. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And
just one final one before we finish, JB.
Yeah, go on.
I think Crystal Palace will be looking at Burnley now. saying this is a must. This will be three massive points for us.
Yes.
And one that we can definitely win as long as Sean Dyche is in charge. If Sean Dyche leaves,
well, ironically,
Burnley's team will come out fighting for the new manager, whether it's Moyes or whether it's a caretaker manager, will come out fighting for them.
My last word will be
I think Dyche has lost. I think Dyche has lost the changing room for me. The players are not playing for Dyche, and when that starts happening and they don't play for each other, that's when you've got a big problem. And I think that's where the problem lies. The players don't like Dyche anymore, don't want Dyche at the club, but are too scared to say to the board because you know what the answer will be. We want him, and he's staying. I think that's
ironically, when it comes to Palace, the last two times we've beaten them properly, I say that, the last two seasons, should I say, we've beaten them and they've changed managers, haven't they? We beat them and then Pardew got the sack, and then we beat them last season, what was it? It was their second or third game in and they got rid of De Boer. So ironically, the role could be reversed come next week if the Burnley board have some sense and decide that they want to bite the bullet and spend that money, but I doubt they will.
I don't think they will, Chris, to be fair.
Yeah, there is. It didn't. We could have played for 24 hours and we wouldn't have got anything out of that, regardless.
I think I would have probably fell asleep at that point and stopped commentating at that point. I don't think I could have done a commentary shift in 24 hours.
So. Keeper could have done a bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, there were.
And that's how predictable we are. Teams will prepare for it.
Go on, Chris. I'll let you.
No, that was my bit.
Okay, mate. I've got a quote here from Rafa Benitez after the game, which was on the Sky Sports Score Centre app. He said, this is what he actually said. He said, when we talk about my future, talk about what can happen, we talk about the future of Newcastle Football Club. It's not Rafa Benitez in the end. If we sign the players, I will not take the players on with me, so they will stay there. If they are good players, there can be a future. It's also a question of where to go. Go to January and see what we can do. I'm really pleased in England. I'm really pleased with the fans behind me. And then a bit from Dyche here at the bottom, it says, at the moment I think the team are beginning to look like what we can be. But we have to get the right side of the margins because it's tight. For teams like us, landing on those right sides is so important. That's a bit from Sean Dyche as well, from the Sky Sports Score Centre. And he's also went to say
there's no such thing as a fine margin against the big teams because they thump us.
Yeah, he's also said this as well. We have to earn the right. Nobody gives you anything in football. We know that, performance levels aside.
Long aside.
All the performance levels I saw tonight were Newcastle working hard for each other and for the manager. Burnley had no fight in there whatsoever.
Exactly right. And I'm going to finish. Go on, Carl, quickly.
Look at the amount of second balls Newcastle players won compared to Burnley challenges.
Yeah, well, we go.
They wanted it more and they deservedly won.
Yeah, and you've had the last word tonight, Chris. Thank you very much to Russ, and to Carl as well, and to Chris. And thank you. It's been a lively hour-long debate, but we have to leave it at that. It's 7 minutes past midnight. I started the broadcast around about 20 past 8. We've been going on for nearly 4 hours, but it's a really bad day for Burnley Football Club. A really horrible day. We were beaten, not just beaten, thrashed by 2-1. It could have been 4, maybe 5-1. Burnley, where did they go from here? Did they sack the manager? Who knows? But one thing's for certain, the Crystal Palace game, there's going to be a awful lot of pressure on Sean Dyche going into that now. And you'll be able to hear that live on the YouTube channel on Saturday afternoon, along with Southampton, Manchester United with Chris at 5:30 and the North London Derby on the Sunday. But until then, from me, JB, from Chris, and from Carl, and from Russ, a very good evening. But it's a really horrible day for Burnley. For Newcastle, the only way is up 13th place on 12 points. Burnley really up against it now. 1 point outside the relegation zone, and a lot of soul searching and a lot of thinking for the football club to do in the next few days. Thank you very much for listening for the last nearly 4 hours. Until then, till the weekend, from me, JB, and from everybody else, it's good night.